Hello, and welcome to episode 104 of Flix and a Six. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo, with me forever and always, the man, the myth, the one who knocks, Alessandro Bielsi. Say hello, Al.
I didn't realize we were going to start.
I mean, why else would we hit the button?
Oh, no. That's fine.
Okay, cool. Also joining us for the third time? Fourth time?
Fifth time
is the Peanut Gallery. There he is.
Hello, everyone.
Say hello, Peanut Gallery. On this week's episode, next-gen gaming, Hot One, the rise of Skywalker, obviously, and other news and nuggets, all before diving into our flick of the week, El Camino. But first, Al, what are we drinking?
We're drinking Roscoe Beer Company's Two-Headed Stout, which has a creepy two-headed fish on it.
Yeah,
Smells delicious.
Unsettling.
At the bottom, it says, as always, remember to stay responsibly thirsty, which feels like a weird ripoff of Dos Equis. This is from... Oh, this is Trout Town?
Yeah, Trout Town. From Roscoe, New York.
I know, but it says Roscoe Beer Company. I'm confused because it's got like two different names.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Our two-headed stout is extremely robust with strong notes of roasted barley and dark chocolates. Don't be scared. This stout is as smooth and creamy as it is dark.
Nice. Taste of New York winner, craft beer of the year 2017?
Looks like it.
What is Taste New York? Is that something that you're familiar with?
Yeah, that's one of the craft beer festivals that they do.
Isn't that the one in Hunter Mountain?
Yeah, I believe so.
Have you guys been to that one?
Once or twice a year?
Yeah, every year in April. We wanted to go this year, but we were looking at the prices and what they offered, and it was questionable at best.
Yeah.
And it was like kind of a hike from here.
Yeah, and it's a
got
hike.
feelings about these offerings.
Yeah.
Shall we give this one a taste?
Sure.
We should.
Cheers.
Cheers. I like that.
That definitely is as smooth and creamy as it is dark.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, that's a perfect description. There's nothing. Whoa. Sorry, I just noticed in their font the double O's in smooth and how they're interlocked like Olympic rings.
Oh, nice. Or like an infinity, maybe?
I like it. It's a nice little touch. This is tasty.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
It is insanely dark, though.
It's got like a sweet chocolate, like a milk chocolate flavor on the edge of it.
I mean, black as night. It's insane.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of this one.
Yeah, for sure. This is not. I feel like I'm usually like on the fence with this type of thing where I'm like, they're good, you know. I'm usually not like head over heels for this type of beer. But I would certainly drink this again.
It walks such a fine line with stout sometimes, where I feel like it's like, oh yeah, that's good, but then like it starts to kind of like sit on my palate and it gets like kind of heavy. Yeah, and it's got like that aftertaste that just kind of sticks with you. This one doesn't have that. It's very like crisp.
Yeah, I don't know. I like stouts as a friend. Is that good? Yeah, this is well, good choice. Good last minute choice. Dominic, were you able to score one of these?
You chose the exact moment he decided to walk upstairs to let his dog out. I don't know. Did you hear the cowbell ringing in the distance? Because that meant Dexter's going.
I didn't. Oh, yeah, the dog rings the bell to go out the back door?
Yeah, nice. We told our dog how to do that.
Will the dog continue to ring the bell just to get Dominic's attention?
Actually, you know, I don't know if Dexter will. If Cooper really needs to go out, he will keep ringing it if you don't let him out.
Got it. So should we just finish this beer and then have another one?
Ooh. No, we can.
That's too much.
We can begin if we want.
PSA, the annual pumpkin beer tasting is happening in a few days, and we have quite the selection.
Just hope I can taste it, because my allergies, I think, hit today.
Oh, no.
If I sound a little rough, that's what it is.
Yeah, that'll do it.
You may hear the occasional crinkle as I pop in a menthol cough drop.
It's like your signature move at this point.
Well, 2 hours straight of talking, you know, it starts to wear.
It does. A friend of mine who's joining us for the tasting, host of the Bad Movie Nights that you've heard so much about. He as a joke that he wants to come as sexy Thanos. And then it was like, haha, you know, that's funny. And then like a few days later, he sent me another one that the costume was a lot less expensive than he thought it was, and I was like, wait, is this actually happening? Now, I don't want to ask any further questions, because I would like at least a partial shock value as he walked through the door.
Dominic, your thoughts on Sexy Thanos?
Sexy Thanos, I need a little bit of a context.
You know what time of year it is. I think you can put two and two together.
Oh. I don't know if I have an opinion because I don't think I've seen it yet, but I have a good feeling that there's going to be some people dressed up like that, and that'll be interesting. I just kind of picture like Ivan Ooze
from
Power Rangers, but in woman form.
No, we're talking about the guy, Sexy Thanos.
Well, no, I mean, he could do that too, of course. I mean, he's just kind of like ripped, like Hulk, so he's not even wearing a shirt.
He said something about, he sent me a gif of Tobias bluing himself. And he said purple paint is a lot more inexpensive than he expected. And then he also said that the bottom half of a Princess Leia slave costume also less expensive than he thought.
Oh my god.
So I don't know if this is... I really hope this comes true.
So was this the question you were going to ask me before I walked to let out my dog?
I was going to ask if you actually... were you able to score one of these beers, or are you sharing with Al?
We're sharing.
Wow, that's sad.
Yeah.
Is this because you already stole one of these?
No. This is one of the ones that
I'm calling them out on air for stealing beers. You know how it is.
I do not steal beers.
You've stolen one or two.
Al, stealing beers from 6 years ago does not quite count as I steal beers.
How about 6 months ago?
What 6 months ago beer did I steal?
Is all I heard. Shall we get into some news?
Oh, I never called him a monster.
All right, news and nuggets. We've got a handful of little things to go through here. I feel like we should just save Star Wars for the end.
Okay.
Is that fair? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So, okay, first thing I want to bring up here. I brought this up, I think, on the show before. I love the web series Hot Ones from First We Feast. I think I've shared a few with you, Al, over the months.
Well, you sent me the one the other day with Paul Rudd. I don't remember actually hearing you refer to it in the past, but a couple other people have mentioned it to me, so I've been aware of it.
So I recently watched the Paul Rudd episode, and it is fantastic. That man,
I ended up watching it later that night when you sent it to me.
He's absolutely one. Did you send it to Dominic?
No, I don't think he was going to have time to watch the whole thing.
That's fine. We'll have to. This will be something for you to do in your spare time, and I encourage all listeners to go and listen to the Paul Rudd episode of Hot Ones. It is fantastic, including hot selfies.
Yeah. So Hot Ones is this interview series on YouTube in which the guy has a famous person on, and they eat hot wings of progressively hotter.
Oh yeah, Other Brian showed me that.
Oh okay.
Other Brian.
Well, he's got his best friend Brian, and then there's Other Brian.
Damn, Other Brian. How's that feel? Serious. So, up until that Paul Rudd episode, my favorite one was Key and Peele. There you have a tremendous episode of Hot Ones. And then I went down this rabbit hole because I had it on in the background. I was listening to it, and then realized I guess it triggered some sort of Hot Ones playlist, and they just kept going after that. Dax Shepard and Kristen Bell, separate episodes, fantastic. But I encourage you to watch as many of those of the people that you're interested in. You don't have to watch all of them, but of the people that you like, it's so entertaining.
Well, I think that would be the type of thing is I might like scroll through and see what's on. I was like, oh, that one could be funny.
Yeah, exactly.
But, it's funny because I had seen there's been a GIF going around, or actually it was just like a quick video clip from the very end of the Paul Rudd one, and I didn't know what it was from, and then you sent me it, and I watched it, and I was like, oh my god, this is what everyone's been doing online. It's him at the end where he goes, could you who would have thought? You and me here. Not me. There were the two of us. Who would have thought? Not me.
So good. They, at the end of that one, spoilers for a Hot Ones episode, Paul Rudd puts all of the hot sauces on one wing, and then the other guy does it too, and then they do a scene together because they're both crying, and they make it an emotional scene, and it's hysterical.
I didn't make the JV team. I don't think I'm good enough.
One of the questions they asked as the wings were getting hotter was, how do you feel about the Ant-Man shrinking and going up Thanos' butt as a fan theory for what was going to happen? And he said his response to that was a missed opportunity, which would have been tremendous. Anyway, that's a plug for Hot Ones for no reason, just because I love it so much. But
I mean, we talk about what we're watching pretty often.
That's true. Well, while we're on that, shows, I've got another one.
Okay.
Since last week, I've started watching The Politician on Netflix, and it's really good. And
I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
So it's Ben Platt, who Kim and I adore, and he is just this kind of cutthroat kid in high school running for class president, but his aspirations are president of the United States, and he's like committed that he's going to get there.
I did actually see it, like a trailer for this, or like, it does like the autoplay on like Netflix. Yeah. I think I did see that actually. Yeah, it's
like dark and weird and very entertaining, and I suggest you give it a try.
Definitely I watched, pursuant to our conversation on last week's episode, I followed up and watched the premiere of Watchmen, and it was strong to quite strong.
Oh, okay, that's good to hear.
What I will say is
other things.
It's probably not for the faint of heart. It's not a fun superhero thing. And the first 10 minutes are really, really intense and not superhero focused in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, but overall, you thought it was good.
Oh yeah, I'm just letting you know that this show is going to be heavy.
But I mean, I kind of expect that. Is that not what the expectation was of? I mean, I don't know. The first few things that I read about, I tried, as you know, I try not to go too deep because I don't want to hear things about it. But I get like general impressions, and the stuff that I heard was not great.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, you can see if you've watched the trailer or whatever, you know that it's supposed to be of our time, in a hyper realized way. I took for granted how deep they would actually go, or how seriously that they would actually take it, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
And as much as they have, in that property is known for its kind of bending and altering of history and stuff like that, from what I understand, the opening sequence is not altered at all from what happened in real life. But it's a rather unfamiliar story to most people, from what I can understand. It was certainly unfamiliar to me.
Yeah, okay. So I should watch this?
Just make sure you're ready.
Anything we need to talk about?
What's that? I mean, probably. But,
okay.
It was good. It's got a good cast. It looks like it's well written so far. I'm appreciative that, again, like it doesn't look cheap. It's funny because if you look, it was one of the first things that I thought was really incredible of the beginning of, and the whole first season of Westworld was like, oh wow, this looks the way that most good shows look after like 3 seasons when they get a budget. Because if you look back at like Game of Thrones, a lot of it kind of looks like crap in the first season.
Sure.
That's not the case for the show.
Okay. Interesting. Dominic, did you get a chance to watch this?
No, I've been kind of behind on watching new shows. I've been mostly watching shows that have already come out that have some acclaim. I'm on the 3rd season right now of Shameless, and somewhere in the 1st season of Man in the High Castle. Man in the High Castle's been like a 2-year project of getting around to watching. Definitely enjoyable. Definitely some interesting alternate universe stuff. Shameless it can be funny, and I see where the hype is a little bit, but sometimes it's like just William H. Macy is just too damn much.
Yeah.
Oh my god! It doesn't even get funny anymore. It's just like, okay, enough.
Do you think you're going to stick with it?
I honestly don't know. I think at the end of this season, I will decide whether I want to do that or not.
Tipping point. How many seasons are there?
I think there's like 8 or 9 out, and I'm only on 3.
That's commitment. All right.
It's always scary for me to get into a show that's got 10 seasons out, especially if the seasons are long, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this.
I feel like that sort of show where it's like, I enjoy it, but sometimes it's too much. It might be the type of thing where maybe you watch a season and then give yourself a few weeks and like watch a season or something like that.
Yeah, might be
that's true.
Practice.
Just allow yourself to like reset.
Yeah, like I don't know. I struggle with that sometimes with shows that have been on for a long time, or even a single season of a show. Where if I'm not fully into it, should I be giving it any more of my time? Like, do I like?
That's a good point.
Because there's also like the thing. You feel like people that you relate to that enjoy it, that you generally have similar taste to. You're like, am I missing something here? Or is it just not for me? And then all of a sudden you're 6 seasons in, and you're like, well, I guess I'll finish it now. And like, do you have to get to that point? I appreciate that you're going to evaluate this at the end of the season. I want to hear where this goes. I think you should do an article on your decision to continue or cut and run.
just like a running like live blog of I'm back in.
Right.
I'm back in.
All right, so Al, you got a news or nugget for us?
Sure. Let's talk about big news in casting for the Lord of the Rings show.
Okay.
Jesus, pop-ups. Exclusive from Deadline. Game of Thrones alum Joseph Maull, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correct, is set as a lead opposite Will Poulter and Markella Cavanaugh in Amazon Studios' Lord of the Rings TV series. Amazon had not commented at the point of this. He was Benjen Stark.
I say that's Benjen Stark, isn't it? It's weird.
What's his name again?
The guy in real life, or the Joseph Maull, or it could be Molly, I suppose. I don't know.
I'm looking this up because when it comes to names of characters in Game of Thrones, I cannot put faces to them.
Well, guys, light spoilers for Game of Thrones, mainly the first season, but also slightly towards the end of the show. He was Ned Stark, Sean Bean's.
Oh, that guy.
Who? Yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of mentors Jon Snow, joining the Night's Watch, and then disappears for most of the rest of the show.
I feel like that guy has a good
into and saves Jon, and then. What is dead may never die, but somehow dies, even though he's been killed already.
He was only mostly dead.
Which means partly alive.
He's just sleeping. He's got a good presence, I feel like, on screen.
And it seems like he's going to be playing the villain in this role. Or,
cool.
A villain, but it seems like the indications are that he will play the lead villain, Orin, opposite Poulter's young hero, Beldor, and female lead Tyra or Tira, I'm not sure, played by Cavanaugh.
Wait, are they making up new characters, or are these actual characters in the Lord of the Rings universe? Because I've never heard of any of them.
It's unclear at this point, because the second age is, I think, the one with the least amount of detail of that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Well, actually, I mean, that's not true, because it's like the succession of the Numenorian kings or whatever, but a lot of that stuff written about the first and second age were from the posthumously published stuff by Christopher Tolkien, who did all the stuff. He did was the Unfinished Tales, the Silmarillion. There was another one as well that covered a lot of those times that were published afterwards by J.R. Tolkien's son. So it's not as coherent and in depth and detail. A lot of the stuff was he collected manuscripts that he wrote down and indexes that he wrote down and tried to synthesize stuff as best he could.
Well, obviously, if you've followed the stories of the Lord of the Rings, Tolkien was definitely influenced by some stuff of Christianity, and when you read some of this annexes about who is the son of who, you can clearly he just used a word scrambler for biblical names, because while I once had an interest in reading a bit of the Bible, I read 5 pages of Genesis and stopped, because everyone was the son of the next person who sounded exactly like the same. It's like Theoden, son of Thengel. It's like every single person in the Bible for 10 pages was like that, and I'm like, okay, I could just read The Lord of the Rings and be more entertained.
Yeah, I've read the indexes. I've read the indexes at the end of Return of the King, and it's long and it's a lot of the same thing.
Yeah.
The lines of succession, except all the names of the Numenorian kings are hyphenated things, and they all have the same prefixes and stuff like that. And it's this is hard. I'm glad I don't have to read this out loud, because I would never ever be able to.
Are you in for this show, Dominic?
Oh, I am. As anyone who knows me knows well, I am absolutely a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. I have a Lord of the Rings tattoo and quote. But I'm cautiously optimistic, because, I was super excited when The Hobbit came out, because I did read The Hobbit before it came out. There was some very good of The Hobbit and some very bad. It was much like the prequels of Star Wars, where we all loved the original trilogy. And then they make this new trilogy based on prequel stuff, which is kind of funny in both ways they do that. And it didn't ruin Lord of the Rings for me, but I just don't want them to make a soulless cash grab off of characters that we know when, for my, as opposed to my older cousins, for example, who were like 40 or so, who grew up with Star Wars, and that was their Lord of the Rings. And then I kind of grew up with Lord of the Rings as my Star Wars. So I do not want them to ruin that in any way with the show, and I do appreciate that they're taking their time, so maybe that will mean better results, but I'm very, very cautious to get excited for this. And I never know when it's going to come out, because...
Listen, Dominic, there's only one return. And it ain't of the king. It's of the Jedi. Speaking of which... I saw the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and it was awesome. We'll do an episode on it eventually. I don't know when it is wide release, but if you listen to this and you have an opportunity to pick up tickets to one of the reboot roadshows, do it. It's so much fun. They come out, they talk about the movie, you watch the movie, and then they come out for like an hour or so and do a Q&A, and it is just a blast. And it was the first one of the tour, and it was like they were super into it. It was a lot of fun. And it just feels like the most put together of the View Askew movies. Like higher production value than usual, I felt. Okay. And it's just wildly entertaining. And it's a lot of fun. And I know Dominic was a big fan of the first, so I assume that he'll love this one as well.
Oh, I forgot that it even come out, but I do have to go see that movie.
No, I don't know when it actually is out.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I had a hard time finding that before this, so just keep an eye out for it. Totally worth it. We'll do an episode on it when we can.
I know that Flix and a Six superfan, our cousin Mike, also saw it this past weekend.
Yes.
I think he liked it, but not quite as much as you did.
Okay, cool. I'll have to talk with him about it. We should have him on again when we do that.
Yeah, I meant to ask him because we saw him on Sunday, and I'm guessing his answer is going to be no. But
we'll just force him into it.
He should want it.
We'll just trap him. Wow. Come over for dinner.
Just trap him again.
And it's just like we're set up. There's microphones and beer.
No, I already fell for this once. No, we're going to meet in a neutral place outside the house, and it's just something we rented out so we can do it there. Fuck!
Trailer. Oh, man. It was really fun in the Q&A at the end. Kevin and Jay were on stage for the Q&A, and one of the questions was, can you rank the View Askew movies? And Kevin points at Jay, like, your personal favorites. And Kevin lets Jay go first, and he's going through them, and he was like, this movie, and then he went through a few other ones, and he was like debating one, and Kevin was like, Clerks? And he's like, nah, man. He's like, for me, Clerks is like all the way at the bottom. And he goes, he's like, without it, we're not here, but whatever. So it's so funny. Yeah, but they're if you ever get a chance to see his Q&As, like they're just so much fun. They're just wildly entertaining. And I know like he loves to talk about himself, but I love the way that he does it, and it's really entertaining. And it's if you could do it with this reboot roadshow stuff, it's a pretty great experience. Moving on, do you have another new and/or nugget?
I do. I have a kind of a two-part thing because they go together.
Ew.
Jeff Loeb is exiting Marvel TV by year's end after a decade at the hero helm.
I like part 2 about the story way better.
What's that?
I like part 2 of this story way better.
Yeah, so he's out. He's been the one who's been like the head of all the TV stuff for a while. And it seems like this is... I mean, he had some highs. Daredevil was great. Punisher was great. A lot of people ended up liking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Is he just scratching his neck? Is that what's happening right now?
That's exactly what he's doing.
That's fun. That stays.
People liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it seems like, and also Agent Carter was really well received from what I understand. I never saw any of it. But they also had a lot of duds, including like the exact opposite of the Avengers with the Defenders. They basically got it all wrong with that. So he's gone, and this is in part with the move of Kevin Feige taking over of all creative for Marvel now, not just the MCU.
Yeah. Of the Marvel Empire, it says.
Yes.
Emperor Feige.
Also, why have you not criticized Jeff Loeb for the monstrosity of Iron Fist?
That was part of the whole Defenders debacle.
Yeah.
No, but the show separately, too.
No, I mean, like what I'm saying is part and parcel to it.
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
The Defenders was horrendous. A lot of Iron Fist was also not good. We were in agreement on this.
Yeah.
But I figured it was like a catch-all when I said the whole build-up to the Defenders didn't work.
What do you think? I mean, obviously, I assume, I don't know if this is true, I assume quality will be very steady going forward with him in that position.
It'll certainly be more consistent, I'd imagine.
Yeah, whether it's blockbuster incredible every time or good enough, like, I just don't think it's gonna have misses. I feel like if it does, they will axe those before they get to in front of you.
Well, it's been both blessing and curse, right, of Marvel. People have talked about in the last couple of years is it may have put a hard cap on how transcendently good any of these can be, but it also protects you from absolute travesties like there were, especially earlier in the run of the MCU.
Thor 2.
Yes, stuff like Thor 2. No, I mean, he's been a steady hand. This makes him one of the most powerful people in all of
the world,
media in general, because he's not just the TV and movie stuff, he's in charge of all the actual comics too now.
That's interesting.
Which is a similar thing to what's gone on with DC and Warner with Jeff Johns has already ascended this way to the head of both comics and movies and TV, I believe. So, I mean, it makes sense to have it all flow through one person.
Sides of the same coin.
Yeah. No, it makes sense to have it all flow from one person to whatever degree. And the other thing we've seen in the last 6 or 7 years is that Feige's been really good at delegating.
Right.
So that should be a plus. That sort of leadership, and on top of that, he is the best of both worlds for this sort of thing. He has the reverence for the material. He is a huge fan of this stuff, and he's really good at being a quote-unquote CEO type of this stuff, of picking the right people, pulling the plug when it's clearly not working, and getting shit done.
What do you think that feeling is when Disney names you King MCU, or King M? I don't know. I mean, it's something he's clearly material, and being so successful in what he's been successful with. Like, is it excitement or oh my god, I cannot even slightly miss them?
I'm guessing it's got to be something along the lines of excitement, because remember, he's also been tapped to guide and or helm a Star Wars too.
That's true.
So he's clearly signing up for more.
Do more great stuff.
And I mean, he said he loves Star Wars as much as he loves Marvel stuff. Mm-hmm. So I mean, obviously, if he didn't want to be doing this, he wouldn't be. Considering, I'm pretty sure he's clawed his way to the top of this. He's elbowed people out of the way to be here. Mm-hmm. Because I was reading another part of another story. Ike Perlmutter, who's been the guy who's been in charge of, I guess the actual Marvel comic stuff, is being completely pushed to the side through this move. So, I mean, this is what he wants, obviously.
Right.
My question is with Star Wars is, when are they going to let Freddie Prinze Jr. direct a movie and or be in one?
I don't know if he would ever necessarily be in one unless it was part of just a bit role. But yeah, right. He absolutely should be involved back with the whole thing again. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's still on good terms with them. He loves Star Wars so much. He loves his role.
His super fandom is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and he loved his role in Rebels. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him, even if it was just something like what's been going on with The Mandalorian. It's funny how much we can talk about what's going on with The Mandalorian, considering none of us has seen a single episode of it yet.
Yeah.
But he would be the perfect guy. He has a relationship with Dave Filoni. Dave is the kind of 1B to Jon Favreau's 1A on The Mandalorian specifically. So there's no reason that he couldn't be involved with at least maybe directing an episode of Season 2 of The Mandalorian. They're still hashing that information out right now. Mm-hmm. When just the fact that they greenlit the Season 2 a month or two ago, when it's still a couple of weeks or a week and a half until the first episode is going to even drop.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some confidence.
I just rewatched that trailer for The Mandalorian, and I was like, Man, this is really well shot. Like the trailer for that show is really good.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Which was really the only concern I had with this was, what does a Star Wars live action TV show look like? Is it going to get a budget that will let it look like Star Wars?
It turns out that that's why they're building Galaxy's Edge. It's just this wild set. That they could
Well, they could definitely use some money inflowing into that, considering I've heard it's been a bomb of a project.
I mean, that sort of thing is always going to be a loss at the beginning, and then they make it up by having
it'll build up.
Insane amount of people lining up to go.
Mm-hmm.
People have been not going as much as they expected. It's been open not for too long, but for a bit of time.
I know the initial was promising, but I don't know. They've also said, though, that even though it's technically open, all of the main attractions are not complete yet.
Right, and I've also heard from outlets that have gone that it's like they're pretty much what they expected. It's great. It's not there yet. It'll get there, but because it is a Star Wars thing and it is fans talking about it, they're willing to accept that, and when it gets even better, they'll go again. It was basically like a soft open. Yeah, for sure.
And who doesn't want to spend $98 for a Star Wars themed 24-ounce drink?
I'm gathering you.
If I had money, maybe.
No, he's like, I'll drink it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'll drink it, but I won't like it. I won't pay for it.
Amazing. I came across this headline, and this is very quick. This is a nugget. This is a nugget in all senses. On my Apple newsfeed, there was this. It was an article from Esquire by Matt Miller, and this is the title: Galaxy Quest remains one of the greatest sci-fi comedies of all time. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for paying attention. I didn't even read the rest of it. I was like, you're right. I just moved on. We agree. I really think we agree.
Yeah. I really think that you can really sum up the Galaxy Quest experience with the fact that actual Trek fans and actual Trek cast members love the movie.
Yeah.
And that's really all you need to say about it, because a lot of times that's not the case with these sorts of satire send-ups of previously established material.
For sure. Yeah.
Never give up. Never
any other news and nuggets before we get into the big one?
Yes. Follow up to our conversation with Gary last week. Jonah Hill will not be in the Batman. Instead, Paul Dano will be the Riddler.
Woo!
What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Happy about Paul Dano being the Riddler. I think that's actually, I think it's a good fit for the role, and I think he'll do a really great job. I still want Jonah Hill as somebody, but that's fine.
All I know about this guy is that he was the guy with the PTSD from Prisoners, who was the once kid who was imprisoned and then escaped, and also he was the bratty rich kid from Cowboys vs. Aliens. That's all I know about him.
The first time I saw him was Little Miss Sunshine.
I was going to say, wasn't he the son in There Will Be Blood?
Yes.
Haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, but he is. I own it.
Sounds like we're all in the same place on this one.
Yeah, no, I actually think he's very good. And I think, like I said, I think he's a great pick. I don't think that Jonah Hill would have been the right pick for Riddler. I do think that he could have played an awesome Penguin.
Oh, I was just about to say that.
Well, that was where originally the rumor was that he was going to play a Penguin, and then more recently, it was kind of coming out that he might be playing the Riddler instead, and it just didn't work out.
Let me be clear that this is not like a body shape thing. This is, he played this kind of crazy character in War Dogs that I feel like would translate really well to the underbelly of Gotham, running things in a political way as the Penguin. I think that would be a really cool thing to see him take a stab at that.
See, the problem is I'm not actually super familiar with a lot of the Penguin other than my faint memories of Danny DeVito.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm struggling to see Jonah Hill play that.
Yeah, well, that's not it. That's why. That is not the character.
And even War Dogs, so much of it, he's just got that shark, hollow, dead eye look. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm struggling to see him like emote as like a larger than life like crime kingpin.
Yeah, it's all about, it's like, I feel like it's like personality and kind of power, like, and he's kind of unassuming from looks, and he's just like in command of all of this, which is I think he can pull it off. I think it'd be really cool. If you've ever played any of the Arkham games, the Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, like the Penguin in that was like, I thought it was so badass. It was so cool, and I want like that version on screen.
Is it too late to bring back retired Penguin Danny DeVito?
It's just not. I don't think that's the right fit. That's not the. I don't think that's what the character would be today.
Probably not.
It's not going to be overly campy. He bites a person's nose off in that movie.
That scene really messed me up a little bit. Yeah. When I saw that first time, I was like 5 or 6 years old.
And upon further rewatching as an adult, he makes a lot of very inappropriate sexual jokes.
Oh, no, it's been a long time since I've seen any of Returns.
To watch.
He was just interviewing for the role of Frank Reynolds like 20 years before it came out.
I was going to say, if you want to see what he looks like now as a penguin, just watch certain scenes in Always Sunny.
Right. Rumham. The other.
It's not the clams. It's not the clams.
Other great version of the Penguin, Patton Oswalt in Batman.
Yep.
So good.
They're all just asleep. No, you
sleeping. Killed him. He's all tuckered out. Do you know what death is?
My parents live upstate on a farm.
Yeah, they live on a farm.
I've got a question for you guys about these next-gen systems coming out next year. I'm curious. I don't really know. I mean, you and I, Al, we talk video games here and there. It's kind of, I feel like we're not like we don't have the conversations the way me and Brian do. And I know that you like games. I'm just curious, how early of an adopter of a new system would you be? Is this something that you're looking forward to, or you don't really care until there's a game that you really want to play?
Yeah,
it's that. Okay.
I wish they would wait another year to put out a new system, because
you got like 4 games, right? Like,
yeah, no, like I just don't see. I feel like they really haven't even run up against the edge of what they're capable of with this generation of systems. You know what I mean?
Okay. What about
maybe I'm wrong, but even the half generation consoles that have come out that are 4K capable, that are slimmer, sleeker, and more powerful than ever, like those had, I feel like, a longer lifespan than what they're doing here.
Sure.
I feel like they're looking to make the next generation even before the generation is fully out, and it's like, okay, I don't get it.
Seems a little forced.
Because, yeah, well, and listen, like, it'd be easy to say, oh, they're just chasing the next dollar, right? But that's not the case, because they operate, or at least it's been the case in previous console generations.
At a loss.
They've always operated at a loss on the units themselves, so I don't get the need to rush out another new system.
Yeah, that's interesting. The other question I was curious about was, I've known you to have had Xboxes you have an Xbox One, you had a 360, right?
Yep.
You didn't have the original one, did you?
No.
How did you end up in the Xbox space over PlayStation?
I don't remember, actually. That one I did adopt early, 360.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It may not have been immediately, but within a month or two.
Oh, okay.
So I remember the reason I was an early adopter with GameCube was because my dad's company was heavily involved with that. They made the processors for it.
Okay.
And so I liked that connection. I was interested, and I enjoyed playing N64, your house, and stuff like that. So it seemed like a natural fit. But after that, I was looking to get a quote-unquote more adult console, because Nintendo puts a hard cap on some of that sort of things, and I was getting into shooters.
Sure.
So I wanted one of those too, and we never had a PlayStation 2. I didn't love the PlayStation 2. I
had a PlayStation 2.
Yeah, but you had it later.
Greatest response.
You had it at the end of its life. You might have even gotten that after PS3 came out already.
No, definitely not.
I'm not actually sure.
I'm 100% sure the PS3 didn't come out.
anyway, I had friends who had original Xbox.
Sure.
Who I played with them with that, and so I think it probably was part and parcel that I was more comfortable with that, like, controller and that layout, like, and everything like that, and, like, I loved the Halo series even though I didn't own it.
Yeah.
So, because Halo 3 came out, a year or two after the Xbox 360 came out, and that was, like, a time when, like, exclusives mattered a lot.
Halo 2 was on the original Xbox.
Halo 3.
Halo 3, yeah. It was a little bit later.
So I think I had friends who had the Xbox who were going to get the 360, so I was like, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah, get on the same ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Play together. That's funny. I was curious just because I only know like how I ended up in the boats that I have been in over the years, and I've always been wondering, like, how did people land in one space or the other? And I feel like a lot of it has to do with kind of just where your friends were playing.
Yeah.
Which I think it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense in the case for Xbox, especially with, like, how early they were with online play and Xbox Live and how well that worked. Like, in the beginning, considering there wasn't anything like mainstream like that at the time. On console, I should say. Like,
yeah,
we played with the original Xbox Online. We made that work before Xbox Live through GameSpy. We would tunnel it through GameSpy Arcade, and it would trick the system into thinking it was in the same room as another Xbox. I mean, the fact that we could figure this stuff out, I just don't really. I don't even know how we figured it out, but there were thousands of other people that did too, because there were plenty of people to play with for free.
Well, that's basically how private, or I guess public rather, internet started as well, I think. Which is mind-blowing to me.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah. It's like when you put your mind in a bottle and you can't get out.
I know. I was just curious how you started and where you stand on those. There's nothing really further to go into that. That stuff's not coming out until next holiday. Not this holiday, but one after, most likely.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it took me 6 or more months for me to get the next one.
Yeah. I will probably get the Xbox day one because of the Halo will drop with it.
Okay. Yeah, see, I've been out of the loop with Halo for multiple generations now. Really, the only things that I buy now is the occasional sports game and
BioWare.
Whatever BioWare does.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I will say I'm going to make an exception, even though I've never been a CD Projekt Red person. I'm interested in Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably get that one.
Yeah,
and I'm going to get the Fallen Order most likely as well.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I do.
Time a few weeks. So.
Yeah, we definitely have to get to that.
I've been hearing really good stuff about it too. The first reviews are starting to come out.
Nice. Sweet. What other news and nuggets?
Dark Fate.
Oh. I think you said that wrong.
And dreading you.
Sorry.
That up.
Dark Fat.
Yeah. What do you got?
Sorry, I was choking on a cough drop. So apparently James Cameron gave an interview recently with, I think it's officially out or it's out in the next day or two.
The movie is, or his interview?
The movie.
Oh.
And actually, IGN review of it was really strong. It was like an 8.
Oh.
Sorry, did you hear Dexter whimpering there?
No, not at all.
He is on the other side of the microphone, and as my sister has educated all of us.
Wait, sound can come behind the microphone?
Yeah. Actually, it was the reverse. She asked if you could hear sound from behind a speaker. This was years ago, but still.
Wonderful.
I was like, here, I put on music on my computer, and then I turned it around so it was like not facing away from her. It was like, do you still hear it?
Great.
But he was talking about the potential for sequels, and from what I understand, the ending of this movie, without getting into any spoilers, because I haven't read any spoiler reviews, apparently it could work both as an end or as a gateway to a continuation.
Please end it, please.
But James Cameron said that if they were to do sequels, that he would want to continue to look at, or start to look at in a more specific way, the idea of the human relationship with artificial intelligence, because it's like just always kind of like been a thing in these movies, but not like ever been an investigation. Even in Genesis, they kind of came the closest to touching on it, like why it's a thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, as I was reading this like excerpt from this interview, what I found interesting was it mirrored a similar concept to what ultimately the Mass Effect trilogy ended up being all about. The idea of, as time goes on, it's an inevitability that humanity will always push towards creating artificial intelligence, and that the whole idea of why a Terminator series can continue on is because no matter how many times you kill Skynet, someone is always going to build...
Right.
It may not be called Skynet, but they're always going to build Skynet, right? And that's ultimately what the ending of anyone who's played the end of Mass Effect 3, what the story was all about was it's a repeating cycle that we always move towards it. It's what we've been moving towards from the very beginning of humanity. Is technology is always our way of innovating to solve problems, and this is ultimately the ultimate solution to problems that we need to solve. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is an artificial intelligence, and I found that to be an interesting idea. If they were to actually delve into that specific relationship.
That would be cool if they could pull off doing this really interesting, really well-marketed movie about a company working on this, and almost like a mockumentary, right? Like building out like what an artificial intelligence company would look like, building out what it could look like and actually making it work, and then naming it at the end of the movie, and then going, oh shit, it's Skynet, and like tying it in that way. I don't know. It's just, it'd be, if end it or come back in another 10 years with something interesting, whatever. I'm interested. I still want to see it, so I'm excited.
I feel like, considering how much we've made fun of the title, we probably should see it.
Oh, I mean, I'm definitely seeing it. As cringy as some of the lines in the trailer are, I'm seeing the movie. I like the concept, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully the trailer didn't show everything that was big.
Just saying, I don't know why Common is promoting AI and why people are still deciding to make AI after all of the countless examples they have on why AI doesn't work, i.e. the Geth and Terminators.
Because, come on, we're smarter than them.
Frustrates me that everyone has these examples from, what was the first Terminator, 1984? 35 years ago, they predicted how terrible machines would be, yet we're still trying to develop AI.
We have a long way to go.
That's what they all say.
It's it is funny. It's kind of like if in the real world a zombie came to life, we would know what to do, right? In this case, it's like, well, we should have seen this coming.
Yeah, one would think, and yet, I mean, hell, even stuff like in Shaun of the Dead, right? They don't know how to deal with it, and they know it's in a world where they know what zombies are. Because remember, says one of them is one point. I thought we weren't going to say the Z word.
Oh man, I gotta rewatch those. So fun, so fun.
Speaking of fun, Zombieland 2 was fun.
Oh, it is. I am seeing it tomorrow, so that'll be our next episode.
Ah, okay.
Sound good?
Yeah,
Excellent.
It's all good, man.
It's all nice. Teasers. Any other news and nuggets before the big guy?
No, let's do this. Let's do the main event of the pre-show.
Can I throw in one last thought on Terminator?
Yeah.
I am all for a mockumentary, like you said, about humans developing AI. Thank you.
Hey, you undermined me the swing of my main one here, so now I got to do it back to you.
I'm all for a mockumentary or drama, whatever you want.
Or how about like a found footage thing of like,
Ooh.
I mean, like where like someone's like doing like a behind the scenes like we're doing this thing, like, hey, look, it's like a tour through the facility type of thing.
Yeah,
and
I like it.
That's when it goes active and like everything goes to hell, like that sort of thing.
It's all an interesting concept about humans' relationship with AI and building it. But can we stop making Terminator movies? It was no need after the second one, and yet they still kept making them, and they got progressively worse and worse. And it's just, I'm sorry, Arnold, you gotta hang up the cleats, man. Like, we love you, you're iconic. Make different movies for one. For two, you can't come up with any new or better ideas for the actual Terminators.
The cleats.
Like, there's no new ideas that they have for these Terminators. They just look more laughably dumb time after time. And, like, enough with bringing back old characters thinking that's going to make me care about them. Because this franchise is old and dead. Leave it with what it was. Stop trying to get money out of it. I feel like this movie's going to tank and not do well.
So what you're saying is that you should leave the past behind.
Yeah, leave the past behind and kill it if you have to.
The
exactly.
next time you're saying if you think about making a Terminator or an artificial intelligence movie, instead what you should do is go hang out with your friends and watch Terminator 2 or Ex Machina. Right? That's what I'm saying. Just watch these, watch these other ones that are already fantastic.
2 greatly superior movies, and I mean, I'm still.
Well, you don't know that. You can't say that the movie didn't come out. I mean, you're right.
I guess.
But you can't say.
Yeah, right. That's like us saying Dark Phoenix is going to be trash before it comes out.
Wait, Anthony.
Hot take. Better than I expected.
Yes,
now, I don't know if that's because I placed the bar well below the ground before I watched it on an airplane. As you know, adds 2 points. I enjoyed it.
And all I'm going to say is if you're going to set the bar low, and then you're going to make a new Terminator with James Cameron, he's raising the bar for all of us.
That's true. I'm just saying, though, people enjoyed Venom, but Venom's not a good movie.
That's fair.
So you could say you kind of enjoyed bits and pieces of Dark Phoenix, because I actually have watched 2 in-depth reviews of the movies.
Wait. Did you watch the movie?
No, I have not watched the movie.
Then you're done. You can't speak to the movie until you've seen the movie. Sorry.
Anyways.
It's just the case. You can't go off other people's opinions.
That's true, because I read and watched reviews of the Joker. People loved it, and I read and watched reviews of people of the Joker who hated it. And I obviously fell somewhere in the middle. But
I feel like you fell in the middle, but you were more on the dislike side, but you had your own personal reasons. I fell on the other side. I enjoyed it, but I don't think I enjoyed it for the reasons other people really enjoyed it.
I feel like, yeah. I've never watched, and I've watched many in-depth, and I'm not just talking reviews, I'm talking scene-by-scene reviews of, so it's not just like, oh yeah, this happened and that happened, scene-by-scene reviews of a movie. I've never watched those types of videos on YouTube about a movie where they completely panned it and I disagree with them. I've never done that. Reviews, yes. Scene-by-scene, complete
your view of the movie is already skewed because of that. And you won't actually be able to give yourself an honest opinion or a review because you're going to have a bias that's based on how you've already felt from the material that you watch, which is why I try to avoid detailed information about something before I see it.
Everyone has a bias going into any movie if they've just seen a trailer.
Sure, but you're saying you watched in-depth breakdowns of the movie.
Including full scenes of the movie.
Right. Right.
Which the question I have for you on this movie specifically, at least, how many of these and how in depth were that you watched? Why didn't you just watch the movie at that point? It sounds like you spent almost as much screen time, maybe broken up across multiple different viewings. But
2 20 to 25 minute videos on a span of 2 days, and I didn't have to spend money on it.
Here's the thing.
That's a big thing too. I don't want to spend money on a movie that I know is going to be bad or
that's fair.
Okay.
If you want to like
slightly enjoyable,
and you're afraid you're not going to like it, watch it on an airplane. Moving on.
You have to pay, so I have to pay for the plane ticket to go somewhere.
Just time it around that. You don't buy the plane ticket. Just next time you're on a plane.
And hope that Dark Phoenix is one of the movies.
Put it on your phone or something. I'm sure you'll be able to download it. Star Wars. The Rise of Skywalker. The trailer is out. The tickets went on sale before the trailer, which was amazing because nobody knew. And I was able to get in without a problem, and all of the seats were available.
Perfect.
Very exciting. So I definitely... A tear rolled. There's an incredible use of the theme song about 3/4 of the way through the trailer that I don't remember ever hearing before that just made my heart swell.
Oh yeah, they definitely. It was a different take on the main theme.
Yeah,
yes,
and it was so good. I mean, let's be honest. You get nothing, right? Other than speculation out of the trailer. They're not going to give you anything. It's.
What's the thing is, I was surprised after watching. I was like, man, it feels like they're really giving away some things. And then I was like, you know what?
No,
I remember episode 7 and 8, and they lied to us so much in those trailers.
Absolutely.
So you remember how many hours, us included, we fell for the trap somewhat. But I feel like we also addressed the potential for it being a trap. And I'm not saying we're the only people who identified that, but there were a lot of people who went wholeheartedly into the scene in episode 8 trailer where he's reaching out to her, and it looks like they're actually allying. It with the way they cut up the lines where she says, "I need a teacher," and he goes, "I can teach you."
Yeah.
Like they lie to us and how they cut it, right? And so she says, "No one knows me," and then he says, "I do." I'm willing to bet a significant amount of money that those two lines do not actually match up 1-to-1.
Like, right.
Where they're delivered one after another.
Different people.
Like, there's probably a full hour in between those two lines being delivered. In fact, I'm guessing the "I do" happens before her saying that line.
Yeah, the "I do" is like someone's like, "Do you really want to kill me?" I do. Okay, so like I said, the music, it got me. I
will say, actually, I think the first full trailer, the one with it starts with her in the desert and
that's
she
really
leaps
good.
over the thing with using the version. I think that's actually been my favorite of the trailers, but this one was good too. Obviously,
that's a really good trailer. This one has it's a lot more teases and like fun stuff getting thrown at you, just little clips. I'm thinking like, there's that scene in the trailer of like what looks like some sort of ice island in the water and ships flying towards it. I feel like that's going to be this movie's version of the Salt Planet, where we think the movie's like, it's got to be over, right? No, there's a whole thing coming that we did.
I remember the exact second when we were watching 8 in the theater.
Wait a minute.
They were escaping on all the lifeboats, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh man, this is a really rough like ending and all that. I was like, no, not ending, because there's that whole huge sequence they've been showing in the trailer. There's gonna be easily 45 minutes left of this movie. So
exciting. Needless to say, I'm obviously thrilled. The C-3PO thing, it cut me deep.
All of it had tearjerker worthy, but that was the dagger in the fucking heart, man. That was
especially with R2-D2 like dancing around, like, no, God, please.
Also, I have to say, I watched that trailer twice, like that night, and actually, I didn't get to watch it again. And I was looking at just like a slideshow of like, hey, little Easter egg you may not notice.
Yeah.
You know what I didn't notice in that scene? Just by watching it, by the way, on both my projector screen, which is huge, and HD, and my other TV, which is like a 65-inch TV.
His head hooked 4K. Up to some sort of mechanism, or?
No, I saw that. What I didn't notice is that as it pans to everyone facing C-3PO, on the far end is the Carrie Russell Zori Bliss character. I didn't even register. I thought she was literally like a stand of something next. I didn't even realize it was a person.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sounds like you didn't either.
I'm gonna need one of those scene-by-scene breakdowns, because it's peppered with goodies.
Well, the thing is, like, not even like they were hiding it. She's just standing there on the edge of the whole group, not like physically separated either, like shoulder to shoulder with someone.
Not a trick.
And I was just, like, I literally, like, my eyes treated it like a coat stand next to the group of people. Like, didn't even process that it was a person standing there.
Man, oh my god, I'm so excited. I do have to return a set of tickets because I bought too many set tickets for different days because I was afraid of dates. But we're going day one, obviously.
Yes.
Dominic, how do you feel?
So I will start this off, and I will caveat.
It doesn't matter how you feel because you didn't like episode 8. Get out!
I don't know what any of you guys talked about prior to the last minute and 30 seconds of you guys speaking, but I will say this: I am pretty excited, especially with the second trailer. I want to know how Palpatine comes back, and I want to know what Rey and Kylo are going to do.
He comes back, and
I will say I was overall not a big fan of the 8th one. And here's my thoughts about it. Again, I'm pretty excited. I'm going to see it day one for sure. Not watching a long trailer, or excuse me, not watching a scene-by-scene comparison. I'm going to go see the movie.
It's good.
So anyways, one of my thoughts was...
Wait, this is that. I'm giving you an assignment. You're going to watch the movie. When you get home from watching the movie, you're going to write down your feelings and opinions on the movie, and you're going to seal that in an envelope. and then we're going to reveal that. Yeah.
Okay. So here's my thoughts. People have been talking about, and this is going back to 8, but people have been talking about how they thought that Rian Johnson just destroyed the vision that J.J. Abrams created for this. And, there's some people who say yes, some people say no. I know, Al, you think... No,
it's not thick. They would not have let him make the movie if he destroyed the vision. That's the only issue I have with that.
Let me get to my point. Well, maybe we just agree to disagree, whatever. But my thought process here is in the 8th one, it's a big takeaway from the movie. He says, let the past die, kill it if you have to. And people took it as, okay, they're going in a new direction, they're moving on past our old characters that we know and love, and whether you agree with that or you disagree with that, that's fine. You can have your opinion. I'm not going to argue with anyone about that anymore because I think everyone's set on their opinion for that. But then why does JJ, they give it back to him, this movie, and say, all right, finish this story, and he says, I want to tie up all 9 of the movies, not just this movie or this trilogy, but all the movies, because he said that. And if he wants to do that, and he was on board with what Rian Johnson was doing in terms of going in a different direction and moving past just the Skywalker saga, and again, like that, don't like it, whatever, why then does he bring back the Emperor? Does he bring back, because I did watch a trailer breakdown where some huge Star Wars nerd was literally listing every type of spaceship seen in the trailer.
Yeah.
And he's like, these are all not First Order ships, these are old Empire Star Destroyers. And I guess you'd have to do the research for yourself. I have no time. I just got a new job. But what's it called? This guy seemed pretty convincing in his evidence for that. So you bring him back.
I don't think that's even really a tinfoil hat thing. He's right.
Okay.
I guess they are Empire ships.
I wasn't paying attention to whether they were First Order or Empire. I was just looking like, oh yeah, those are evil ships. I get it. So, like I said, you're bringing back Palpatine. You're bringing back what seems like the remnants or a hidden section of the old Empire. You're bringing back old Rebel ships. You're bringing back Billy D. You're getting all these feelings of nostalgia because maybe a little bit. I can't speak for JJ because I'm not in his head. But maybe he's trying to bring back a little bit of feelings of nostalgia to get those fans who were so angry with the big changes that happened in Last Jedi. So if he's okay with, and again, I don't know if he's okay with personally versus professionally with what Rian was doing, but why do you throw that line in and he decides to come back and make this new movie, and now he's bringing back the past? You know, I'm just thinking, why would he do all of this stuff if we were coursing a new plot for the direction of Star Wars?
A number of reasons.
You're saying it as one question, but what you're actually asking is multiple questions.
Well, I didn't say it was one question. I said it's multiple things.
First off, misdirection. That's one. You don't want to see where it's going. The easiest way to do that is to misdirect the audience until the finale is complete.
One second now, before you continue. You're familiar with the Abrams mystery box thing, right?
No.
Oh, okay. So this is important then for him. So going back this is easily a decade now, Abrams has what he's kind of coined, or someone who is like a scholar of him coined the J.J. Abrams mystery box, in that everything has to be tightly controlled and ultra secretive, and everything is just an attempt to misdirect you until you actually get to see the movie. Any promotional material, any trailer, any interview that's given is all carefully controlled by him, so that no one can give out the actual truth any more than what he's allowed them to say. He'll say, hey, these are the things you're allowed to talk about, not one iota beyond that. Yeah. And he's looked at those things and said, these things will not be able to tip off what's coming to you. So
that may not be limited. That it could include a character assassination of Rian Johnson. Just throw that out there. But go on.
Well, but anyway, and so you asked what were we discussing before you came back. What we were saying is, we already know that episode 7 and 8, the trailers have lied to us repeatedly.
Yes, they have.
And I believe will be the case with a lot of the things that go on in this trailer as well. Specifically, what we were talking about was, if you remember this sequence where she says, no one knows who I am, and then he says, I do. We are willing to bet substantial amounts of money that those two lines are not going to be delivered in that order in the same scene.
Yeah, that's very good.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing, though, is...
So, like, what I'm saying is a lot of what you saw will be in the movie, but won't be in the order that you've seen it, and what they're showing you probably isn't what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I don't know to what degree that's going to be true, but again, we know that the Emperor is going to be in this. Why do you bring back that character? Why do you bring back old Empire vessels and Lando and all these things if we have to chart towards this new direction? Because I don't think one way or the other Lando needed to be in this one. I think he brought him back for a bit of nostalgia.
No, I think yes, but specifically they brought him back because there's literally nothing they can do about Carrie Fisher dying.
Yeah.
That's the reason he's
there. But all I'm saying is, again, why do you bring back all these old characters and old stuff if you're so dead set on moving forward and moving past that?
Well, because it is about moving past that, but it's about moving past that as closing the loop. This is the end of a 9-movie series. And it will move us on to other stuff, but it is still part of the same storyline. There is still closure that needs to happen with characters and histories and things that we don't know about. You have to bring Lando back. I think either way he was coming back, because I do think
you can't just say, oh yeah, he just died.
Yeah, like he wasn't just
like, he saw somewhere he died.
So I think that
I'm happy
I think he has to be there.
I wouldn't be surprised if he has a relatively small role in this movie, as far as total screen time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I think you're taking a too narrow of a view of the whole thing about letting the past die. Specifically, what I've always read that to be, and what Episode 8 has shown you, is casting off the dogma of Jedi versus Sith. It's what that whole movie was about. It's what that line specifically was about when it was delivered by him, and it was the mirror image of the exact same thing with different words that Luke was telling her as well.
Title of the movie also.
Until we see this movie to see whether or not they've undone that. But I would be highly surprised if they're undoing the idea of casting off the idea of Jedi versus Sith per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm saying, do you need Emperor to come back for this? Because I think it's...
I don't know yet. We'll have to see the movie.
I guess. I'm just saying, couldn't we come up with something new or something else? Because I really feel like at the end of the first trilogy, the Emperor's story in this story is done.
Here's why I don't think here's why I think it's a good idea. Introducing a new core villain in the third act of a saga, I feel like would be a mistake.
I would agree.
Because
what I would have said was just let Ben Solo ascend to being... Are you okay there?
I don't know what just happened.
Perception issues?
Yeah.
I would just let Ben ascend to being the lead.
That's fair.
I agree with that.
Villain. But I'm not opposed to this because it would be consistent with all the plotting he has done for the 9-episode run. You know what I mean?
I also think that Ben's character is not strong enough to become that person. He's a weak character, and he's just going to die, in my opinion. He's not going to make it.
Possible, too. I don't know that he's going... I don't think the Emperor is going to have very much screen time either.
Right. A couple of laughs.
But being the master manipulator that he is and was... it's consistent that he's always... I mean, they've laid the groundwork already for this. Remember, canonically, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Operation Cinder, like him having the ability to reach from beyond the grave has been a thing that's been introduced to us 3 or 4 years ago.
I thought he was just in a hologram, though.
I'm just saying, from him having the ability to continue to have impact on the world around him from beyond the grave is something that we have already been introduced to, so we shouldn't be surprised by this.
I get it.
And I will say I'm in agreement with you. When they first announced he was coming back, I had mixed emotions, because on the one hand I was like, love the Emperor, especially love Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor, so getting more time with him, totally on board for it. But I have a fear that they won't, quote unquote, do it right, or that like whatever they choose to do won't justify bringing him back.
Yes.
It's a very real concern. I'm just not going to let it hold me back from trying to enjoy the movie. Now, once the credits roll, is it possible that I'll have been disappointed with it? Sure. But I'm not going to go in expecting to be disappointed.
Right.
But again, you tease this character, because I still don't feel like we've seen enough of him. Kylo Ren, I still don't feel like he's gotten enough development and enough treatment as the main threat, because they killed Snoke off clearly because they thought that Kylo Ren was more important. So I feel like introducing the Emperor back into the story is going to take away from Kylo Ren and just distract you with this guy who we already know, who I don't think anything new. Like, I want to see more of the Emperor, but you don't need it. We do kind of need more of Kylo.
I think what Anthony said, it makes a lot of sense, is that at the end of the day, Ben isn't interesting enough to be the one true villain, maybe.
That's kind of a failing.
The other thing I'll say, well, you can say that, that's fine. I won't say that you're necessarily wrong until I see how the story ends.
Yeah.
Sure. But what I've tried to tell you for a while now, since 8 came out, was obviously Snoke was a red herring. I mean, he has been from the beginning.
Communism was just a red herring.
Yes. And whether that meant because Palpatine was still available, which, remember, everyone's been wondering about the Palpatine influence since before 7 came out.
Yeah.
Or because Ben was supposed to be the main villain. Whichever avenue it took, it always felt like he was kind of a stand-in for whatever was going to come next. And in this case, what's going to come to finish the whole story off. The one thing I'll say to your Rian Johnson thing is, apart from just the fact that it's been their official stance, and you can say that words don't mean anything, but they've backed it up with their actions because they gave him another trilogy to make. They are beyond pleased with the movie that Rian Johnson made. Otherwise, he would not be making 3 more of them.
Have you heard what he actually said recently about that? I was actually just watching a video about that.
What?
Someone specifically asked him, what's the status of those? He's like, oh yeah, it'd be nice if those are made. I gotta still talk to him, so that's not convincing me that I'm, no kidding, working on the next theory. It's like, it's still talking about it.
Well, no. Well, the one thing I'll say on that topic is when we were done with this, I was going to go on to not quite a killing the narrative, but rather a knock it off, which is the cousin of the kill the narrative.
Yeah.
There's been about 15 stories about that in the last 5 months. And it's just someone continuing every time they see him in public saying, hey, are you still making them? And he's like, yeah. When they're ready to be made. Hey, are you still making them? Yeah. I'm in the middle of making this other movie, which I told them I was making, and then we're going to make that one.
What movie is that?
Knives Out, the one that's coming out in a couple weeks. Okay. So that I saw that thing that you said, and I was like, you know what, that does sound a little odd. And then he just, literally today, like 2 hours before we started this, I was like, oh, I should mention this on the show today. There was another story, which they followed up the interview you're saying. He goes, oh, did I say if? He goes, yeah, I'm sorry, that was just poorly worded. We're doing the movies. All right. We just have to get an official date on when they want me to start.
That's new information I have not heard.
But the whole point is, there has never been anything introduced by any real reporting that has said that there wasn't going to be the made. It's just been when are they going to start it? And he has been consistent, Disney's been consistent in saying, yeah, we're not sure yet when. We're going to do it. But we're just not sure when.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's been, considering they greenlit the Benioff and Weiss trilogy first, it's not surprising that they would get the first crack at it.
Right.
So,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to, say what you want to say. I was going to move on to another piece of this, so go on.
No, I've probably complained enough about Rian Johnson today.
All right, so just wanted to go through a few scenes, stuff that I just wrote quick bullets on, just so that it could maybe spark some more dialogue. The opening of the trailer with the training in the woods and then quick cut to an actual action in some situation was amazing. I was like, oh, as that happened, and I was very excited about it. And like seeing that helmet drop, which looked like the old helmets from Jedi, like onto the grass, like that was just like, there's just like that, those icons happening throughout the movie or throughout the trailer are like very exciting and really pulling on those, those nostalgia strings, which is, I mean, I'm all for in this case. And I just thought that particular sequence was really well done. I think from there you get into that, what you were talking about, like, I do, that whole scene. Ray looks pissed in that scene. And it's clearly not just everything that's happened before over the past few years. I don't know how long it's been since the last movie. I assume time has passed.
You know what? I think, didn't they confirm it's supposed to be a year?
Is that it?
I think so.
Well, the only reason I ask is it appears in one scene, and I don't know if this is maybe just the way that I was seeing. Is Kylo's face completely healed?
I don't know.
I got that impression from one of the stills, but anyway, okay, so just a year. We'll see what that means. But yeah, she's like clearly something is happening, or has just happened in that scene, which is she looks very angry, but like she looks dark side angry, which is what I thought was interesting. We'll see where that goes. The next thing that was the Star Destroyer being pulled out of the water. And as it's being pulled out of the water, there's a lot of lightning involved. And I assume that's going to be some sort of Emperor-related thing. I don't know what it will mean, but... Yeah,
I mean, lightning and him kind of go along. Like lamb and tuna fish.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things that you had texted me about, which I had seen, we were both pretty excited, the ghost ship behind the Falcon. Pretty cool. What can that mean for characters that we might be seeing on screen? That could be pretty awesome. I had asked you, and I have not been able to confirm this, and I think it's just wild speculation on my part because I want it to be true, but a ship below it to the left in the distance almost looked like it could have been Dash's freighter.
Well, I read something similar to what Dominic was talking about with the Empire / First Order ships, and it was a breakdown of each class of ship shown in that one shot of the Alliance ships, and it is definitely that. It's that class of ship. Okay. I don't know for sure if it's that ship, Ash's ship per se, but it is the exact same.
That's dope. That would be amazing. Just to, even if it's just a nod to the character, like it doesn't actually have to be that. Like I think that's kind of cool.
Well, just the same thing with the Ghost, because the Ghost was in Rogue One as well, but with the characters obviously.
Yeah.
And just so you know, while you're teeing that up, I looked up, and yes, it's roughly a year after the episode.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. Interesting.
Brief aside on this while we're talking about this. The new, and I think they're only doing a total of 2 seasons of Resistance, just came back, which I had no idea was coming out, like when it did. It's kicking off with them showing up at Dakar right after the bombardment at the beginning of episode 8.
Huh.
So it is literally right in the shit, so I don't know when it's going to end, if it's going to end.
Oh.
I mean, considering it's however many episodes, it's entirely possible that it ends as a direct lead-in to 9.
Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah, all right. I guess I'm going to have to watch that. What's with the... so, Rey's blue lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
What is the speculation here?
What do you mean?
Is it built off of the crystal of the broken lightsaber? Is it her own? How's that?
What I would assume is that it's a new crystal, but it's clearly the same housing because
that's what's in
original trailer when they show her ignite it, it's clearly the Anakin lightsaber.
Do you think it's just a repair job?
It's possible.
Okay.
I mean, technically, I know we're getting rid of the whole trappings of being a Jedi or not, but that was like the thing you had to do to become a Jedi Knight was to build your own lightsaber. But that being said, whether you're going to keep with that whole dogma or not,
to become a Skywalker, you need to just take a Skywalker's lightsaber.
But after the general, what the heck's her name? From
Admiral Holdo?
Yeah, Admiral Holdo. After she sends her ship crashing through the mothership and she has to flee from Kylo in the First Order, did she really pick up every bit and piece of Anakin's lightsaber and say, crap, I'm going to need this for later? Well, I mean, I guarantee you she wasn't going to be able to use it for some time until she was able to fix it.
In the Star Wars universe, I'm assuming the only rare and important piece is that crystal. Like, I feel like everything else could probably...
No, the housing, like you said, it's
I know, but I feel like it's just like...
the whole housing up.
I mean, I suppose it's also possible that she could have just built one from scratch and just modeled it after it.
Right, the local Home Depot.
But she didn't she have it in the... didn't she have it when they were on the Falcon?
I don't remember.
I think she might have had it in...
Oh, yeah, you might be right.
Like... clearly broken, but I thought she had it.
We'll have to go back and look. There's also the scene that, and Al and I have talked about this a little bit, very briefly. The scene of Rey and Kylo smashing down what looks like a statue or a robot of some kind.
It looks very metallic. It looks very like robotic. Just make sure your volume's off.
Kylo doesn't look like Kylo. Like, it doesn't, that's what I had mentioned to Alex. It doesn't look like it's him in the suit, which I was wondering if maybe it's like Finn or Poe in the outfit.
Or it could just be that they did a bad job of casting his stuntman.
It could be. It could very well be. It's just the way that he's holding the lightsaber is not, it doesn't kind of match up with how.
Well, the holding of the lightsaber is tough to tell because, and I didn't watch it again live, but I sent you that still when we were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like in like a snapshot of like a still of him swinging lightsaber, like you're not going to be able to tell really. But you're right. The stance, something about it seems off.
It seems off. And also,
but I just wonder
all the not helmet scenes that we've seen already.
Well, I just wonder, he's wearing the helmet, so it could just be an extra.
Mm-hmm.
Because clearly that person was taller than her, and like I don't actually know if John Boyega is taller than Daisy Ridley.
That's true.
So, and whereas Adam Driver is clearly like 6 inches taller than her. So
I guess
doesn't look like it there.
No, I know, but I think she holds it when she's sitting in the Falcon at the end.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to see if when we see the movie. This is just wild speculation at this point. And the only other note that I had here was that the trailer dropped on Carrie Fisher's birthday, and that's pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, that's pretty. So, any other notes on the Star Wars trailer? What do you got? I know you got to have thoughts, Sal.
I'm gonna probably need to watch it again a couple of more times, but that scene where the Star Destroyer is coming up out of the ice, badass as fuck.
Oh yeah.
That got the juices pumping after we were like getting like some of the feels and the motions. Like I said, I almost shed a tear when C-3PO said, "I'm just taking a last look at my friends." As you said, you appreciated the use of the Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yep, I'm gonna go cry now.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked that there was just that sense of weight that you need to. I love that it was. I actually liked that it's a middle finger to you, that you don't get to see the actual get to see Palpatine.
Yeah.
And what I didn't notice in the first watch, and then I thought about the second time, and then I saw someone else write something about it. It's possible that when you do kind of almost see him over his shoulder, it's possible that's a hologram.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, you do clearly see the robe flutter. Now, it could have been fluttering in the hologram, but the point is, like, there you see the robe flutter past where his face would be.
Yep.
But I love how it's such a specific choice of where the camera is placed, where you can tell that that's probably him on whatever it is that he's sitting on.
Yep, robot chair.
Robot chair.
Yeah.
Probably the Newt Gunray robot chair, it seemed like. But it's such a fuck you.
Yeah.
But I respect it.
Yeah. Imagine like taking lying to a new level, and they were just like, no, the Emperor's not in the movie.
Could you imagine this whole thing has just been, they hired him to just do voiceover for trailers?
Oh my god. And to deliver the first trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Roll it again.
I mean, he probably just enjoyed doing that, but
yeah.
You know what? He's the type of guy who I would fear, prior to that having happened at Star Wars Celebration, I would have feared that once he was done, which is like, okay, I'm done. He seems to genuinely love it. And if you've ever seen any of the stuff, like he's been at conventions and stuff like that, he loves it. And it's funny because he's like the anti-Alec Guinness with Obi-Wan, who like literally had no time for any of this bullshit.
Right.
And instead, Ian McDiarmid completely like leans into it and loves it. That makes me so happy for some reason.
It's great. Isn't that just like it's a wonderful way to live? Thinking and like it just enjoying all this stuff and like really just being a part of it. That's awesome.
The one thing I was curious about this trailer was actually an omission, and I was surprised we didn't get anything else involving the scene with Dark Rey with the two-sided lightsaber.
Yeah.
Now, what I'll say is I didn't expect us to get much more, but just a slight tweak of how we saw that scene to just continue to be, don't forget this is going on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm curious, because obviously it's such an important...
It looks like a dark cave dream, though.
That's what I wondered since the very first time that we saw it, was, is it a dark cave dream, or just a dark dream period, or maybe a vision of what a potential future of her going down the dark side could look like, maybe through some sort of manipulation of her mind by the Emperor type of thing, you know what I mean? Like, but I have always had that feeling, too, that it's probably, quote-unquote, not real.
Right.
But I'm surprised they wouldn't
that there's no tease or anything, just
1%
resurfacing
more
it
about that scene. Yeah. Maybe, you know, it shows her from the front. Maybe they flip it around and they show it from the side and it's her walking down a hall or something like that. You know?
Right.
Something, or, you know, you get one more extra second before that happened or after it happened to just be like, don't forget about it. The fact that they don't at all, I'm not sure how to interpret it, because my first thought is maybe that's showing us that it was a red herring. But I feel like you'd want to keep it more like front and center if that was the case. Like, because like we said, it seems like none of us believes that it's real, probably. The only way I could see it being real is if that's like the final scene in the movie.
Right.
Because it's like the saga's done for now.
Right. I do hope that there is, with what they've been saying, I do hope that there is closure to the storyline. Like, as much as I love this and want it to go on forever, it doesn't need to end. Like, this core story needs to end, and it needs to go out in just a wonderful way. And I'm really hoping that they pull it off. Lingering things of like where you could nod to characters or history in episodes that, or in movies that take place like later on, depending on what they do. That's cool, but like I feel like the storyline of these characters needs to come to a close, and maybe it lays the foundation for whatever like this this new way of living is like they're not Jedi. Whatever. There's the speculation that Skywalker would be like the type of thing this person is now, like when you're trained or whatever.
I actually really like that, and I'm inclined to believe that's probably how it's going to go.
Yeah, and I think, and then the legacy lives on, right? Because this whole thing is about a legacy, and how that legacy is going to live forever. It says something along those lines as the trailer closes, like in text on the screen.
It said it was a story ends, but like a legend like lives on forever or something like that.
Right. Skywalker being the legend, I assume.
Yeah.
But
I would say that I agree that maybe this is the right time to close the quote unquote Skywalker saga, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then where you go from here is you can leave this main story and start doing other things, and you can populate it, not in a cheap fanservice cameo way, but like wherever this leaves us, someone like a Finn or a Rose could go be a main character in one of these other movies, doing something almost completely different. Like, hey, this is done now. We have other problems in this galaxy to deal with, but the heroes from today will still be the heroes tomorrow, just doing something different. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh man, the anticipation is at levels that I assumed would happen, but couldn't imagine.
Well, that's why I thought it was very important on Monday to dust off the old handy anticipation guide from the Spin Tune. So
yeah, it's funny. It's like you can have a random thought of like, imagine I died. Like, just randomly, right? Oh, that's like the things that I would miss. How it would suck so much more being this close. Okay.
It's a weird way to look at that.
With that being said, it's time for fun and games.
Is your excitement more for Star Wars or for Endgame before Endgame came out?
It's more for Star Wars. It's just because it's ingrained in me from being a child till now. Like, comics I got into later, whereas Star Wars, it was like, I remember picking VHS tape off of the wall at Select Video 3 doors down from the pizzeria growing up. Because we would give them food and they would give us movies. Like, that's just how it works. It's just, Star Wars has always been like super special in a way that Marvel has come incredibly close to, and that is insane. Like, to me, that it is that close. But yeah, so I'm excited. It's time for fun and games. We're moving on.
Dominic, are you familiar with fun and games?
No.
All right, so
I don't listen to this show. How could I be?
Oh, wow.
I can't remember if we started it after the last time you guest hosted.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Gianna was part of Fun and Games.
Yes.
Gary was part of Fun and Games. Actually, this is a weird, unprecedented run. We had 3 consecutive episodes with guest hosts.
Pretty cool. Keep this alive. So basically, Dominic, what we do here is I have a quiz that I've pulled that is somewhat relevant to the movie usually that we're doing. And I usually have Al answer the questions, and we reveal the answer, the result at the end. But because you're here, I'm going to run the 2 quizzes side by side. It worked well enough last time, so we'll see how it goes this time. Try to answer as quickly as possible. Don't give it too much thought. That's where the fun comes in. So this quiz is from BuzzFeed, and it's very simple. Which Breaking Bad character are you?
Of course.
So we're going to start off. The first question is, which Simpsons character do you most relate to? Here are your options. Homer.
Is that for both of us, or you say for him?
Both of you. It's the same question.
He's going to read it, so I'll answer, then you answer.
Okay.
All right. So, which Simpsons character do you most relate to? Homer, Helen Lovejoy, Mr. Burns, Bumblebee Man, Otto, Milhouse, Bart, Lionel Hutz, Grandpa Simpson.
Grandpa Simpson.
Pass? I don't know Simpsons.
Just name any
I chose Bumblebee Man for you.
Yeah, neither of us are Simpsons fans.
That's fine.
You got to choose the second one.
Someone has threatened you. How do you react? Change your identity, calmly plot your revenge, lay low, punch away your troubles, run them over, get high, blow them up, drown yourself in the pool, eat breakfast.
Breakfast.
Punch them away.
Punch them away. Punch away your troubles. Okay. Pick a movie. Scarface, Ted, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, RoboCop, Fast and the Furious, Star Trek, Catch Me If You Can, Dirty Harry.
Oh, that was a good list. But my eyes perked up at Dirty Rotten Scoundrels because I can't believe it's on this list.
Catch me if you can.
That would have been my second choice.
Yeah, good choice. All right. On a scale of 1 to 9, how evil are you? That's a weird scale. On a scale of 1 to 9, how evil are you? 1, there isn't a bad bone in your body. 2, you're too stupid to be evil. 3, you're a good person capable of doing bad things. 4, you've done terrible things, but you know right from wrong. 5, you used to think you were a good person, now you're not so sure. 6, like everything, your morals have a price. 7, you pretend to drown a small boy to teach his brother a lesson. 8, you'd slit someone's throat to teach people a lesson. 9,
Jesus.
9, you are the danger.
Oh, wow. It took me a minute to realize that all of those things are things that happened on the show. I'm going to go with 3.
Yeah, I'm going to be boring and copy Al and say 3.
Okay, that's fine. I'm curious.
I love how one of them is just specifically Saul. Like,
yeah.
It comes at a price.
All right. Pick a song. Knocking on Heaven's Door by Bob Dylan. Free Bird by Leonard Skinner. Breaking the Law, Judas Priest. Macarena. It just says Macarena. It doesn't have who it's by. It just says Macarena. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Deep Blue Something. Ring My Bell, Anita Ward. Bitches Ain't Shit, Dr. Dre. Don't Speak, No Doubt. The Drugs Don't Work, The Verb.
Free Bird.
Don't Speak.
Nice. All right, Don't Speak and Free Bird. All right, number 6. You've got the day off of work. What do? Polish your rock collection. Have a glass or 4 of wine. Watch some classic sci-fi. Read some poetry. Have a massage. Do something for charity. Throw a dinner party. Ring your bell. Eat breakfast.
I did want to go with For Whom the Bell Tolls, considering this my team name before. No, I'm going to say have 1 to 4 glasses of wine.
It's called minerals, Anthony.
All right, so you're going to polish your rocks?
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Pick an
animal.
You
said rocks, right?
Yep. Pick an animal. Rat, grumpy cat, blowfish, giraffe, badger, bear, lion, snake, puppy.
Bear.
Badger.
Bear. And you...
Also, just to cut in real quick, I think me and Al's, one of our favorite memes at the time is the hissing cat with like the woman from the celebrity show.
Those Desperate Housewives, right?
Yeah, Desperate Housewives, like screaming and crying, and the cat just got that evil hissing on its face.
Have you ever seen that? I don't think I've seen this.
Oh my god!
So after we're done, we're gonna find them and send them
share that with
They're
me.
just fantastic,
guys. Against all odds, you got the same answer.
We had so many different answers.
I know, which leads me to believe that it's either randomly generated or only one question matters.
That's a lot of times. That's what happens.
You both got Hank.
Oh, okay. I mean, I make beer, so
I do like minerals.
Your greatest epiphanies come when sat on the toilet.
Wow,
that's true for me.
It's only because so much of his life is spent sitting on it.
I probably spent
that is
80 days of my life.
They say
80 days a year on the toilet.
They say you spend a third of your time in your bed, and Dominic spends easily 10% of his time on toilets.
Amazing.
A lot of life-affirming thoughts come while in the bowl.
God. All right, with that, let us get into our flick of the week. El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. The IMDb synopsis is a sequel of sorts to Breaking Bad, following Jesse Pinkman after the events captured in the finale of Breaking Bad. Jesse is now on the run as a massive police manhunt for him is in up. Yep, that's pretty much it. Director Vince Gilligan, thank God. Writer Vince Gilligan, thank God. That would really suck if it was just handed off to somehow rights were like lost or moved and somebody else did it.
The thing I'm surprised to see in this was that Peter Gold doesn't seem to have been involved.
That's a little strange.
Unless maybe he just took a producer credit.
Who's Peter Gold?
Well, technically this show and Better Call Saul, like they still work together. The two of them co-created the show. Vince Gilligan gets all the credit, but Gold is underappreciated in the fact that, like, you know, he's been there every single day of the process.
He doesn't have a producer credit.
That's odd to me.
As far as I can see.
Because as far as I can remember, he's still actively working with him on Better Call Saul.
Maybe he was focused on that? Is it possible?
I suppose. I just find it odd that he wouldn't be involved in this in any way. And maybe he just was like, hey, yeah, I'll show up with you for the first day of roughing the plot together, and then like I just am too busy / don't care to do this. You know what I mean? Like, so I'll just take an uncredited role. But I'm surprised he's not at least a producer's credit on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is strange. What are your impressions? This is pre-spoilers, of course.
Hang on a second. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. It doesn't transcend what came before. But most importantly, it doesn't undermine it.
Nice. Okay. Dominic, how do you feel? What are your general impressions of this film?
Why did they make this movie?
Okay. I'm all right. Glad we have that. I think I'm more with Al, but my wording is probably going to align a little bit more with Dominic. Completely unnecessary, but somehow not in a bad way. It gives me more of that thing I love, but don't screw up the source material. So I'm pretty much right there with you, Al. I don't like I said, don't think the story is necessary, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's really well made and I expect it. The bar is very high when you're talking about something in the Breaking Bad universe. Once you see Vince Gilligan's name attached, in my opinion, it's like a level of comfort. Like, I know that I just feel like it's going to be good at this point from that.
Well, I'll say going into this, I felt the same way about this that I did about when they announced they were doing Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
I don't need this story. But Better Call Saul from start to, well, it hasn't finished yet, but to what has been finished to this point.
Yeah.
Has proven how wrong I was and how essential it is to what's gone on. I don't know that this justified its existence.
Sure.
But that being said, it was still good. It wasn't great. I didn't love it. I definitely didn't hate it.
Yeah.
Would you say that Better Call Saul is better than this movie?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm getting to the point where Better Call Saul might actually be better than Breaking Bad.
I thoroughly enjoyed season 1 of Better Call Saul.
You've only seen the first one?
Yeah, I got to get back into it.
I thought maybe you started the second season and I couldn't remember. You're all the way caught up. You've seen all 4 seasons.
Yeah, right? I'm all caught up. I'm not in that boat. I don't think that it's approaching better. I do think that it is living up to.
Well, I don't know if I'm ready to just say it's better, but what I'm saying is I feel like it's worth having the conversation.
Sure. No, that's fair. That's fair.
What I will say is, considering we all kind of were on the same opinion that we didn't know why this was a thing, I came up with reasons why it's a thing, having now seen it.
Okay.
And you can, and we will, over the next however long, decide how much that's accurate, or at least to what degree that it is justified itself.
Well,
but
I'm already excited, and I want to hear where you're going with this. So, but before we do that, this is a PSA. Before post, this is not. Still in pre-spoilers. This is something that you need to know. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad, there is one thing that I definitely didn't need more of in my life, and that's Creepy Todd. And there's a lot of Creepy Todd. So if you're very unsettled by that character, don't watch this movie.
Well, the thing I'll say is, Creepy Todd ended up stealing the show.
100%. But he's creepy as all hell.
So this is the note that I put down here. Dominic's looking at it as I'm about to read it. This helped complete the story, because technically you can make the argument that at the end, when the credits rolled on Felina, the story was only like 99% complete.
Yeah. It's an epilogue.
This completes the story. It fills in the gaps that we may have had from what happened in that 18-month time jump from the end of Tajali to, or not Tajali to, from that one, or Granite State to Felina. It deepens our understanding of the sole remaining character who's been left unexamined, Creepy Todd, and it helps us understand where Jesse's been and where he'll go next.
Right. Yep. It's again, it's okay to fill in those gaps on your own. You don't need to do this, but I feel like he had an idea and he had a story and he wanted to make that the canon, and I think that's fine.
Well, the two things that are connected together, that are like inextricable to the existence of this movie, were you needed to know who Todd actually was, and you needed to know what that meant for why Jesse is the way he is at the end of Felina.
Yeah.
And this movie is the only way to tell that story, considering the fact that like 35% of it's delivered through flashback.
Yeah, no, for sure. With that being said, let us dive into our post-spoiler talk. 3, 2, 1. I never know how to do, like, is that enough time? Like, what if you're struggling to find, oh god, I gotta hit pause, you know? I mean, I'm giving it, I'm making it sound like we have a lot more than we do, but still. I think
this is the time where we need to start considering adding a new bit of post-production to the show, in which, like, when you say, like, we'll lift the veil, you need to come up with, like, a like the sound of the veil.
Like a nuclear warning. Like,
well, no, that was like more. That was my first thought too. Was like siren sound, but no, I'm thinking of like a like a magical type sound.
How about
like the veil is being lifted on like a magic trick?
Let's do the recording of you and me mimicking Wayne and Garth. Diddly-doo, diddly-doo, diddly-doo. And we'll put that in between.
I'm actually
going to stop you right there. I don't want to hear the rest of that statement.
I guess I won't repeat it then.
I want to go on respecting you. No, that's not. I don't actually feel that way. We'll just watch it and we'll have a good time. That's all I heard. All I heard was great source material for this show. You know, we could watch it, we could enjoy it. All right, we're in post-spoiler territory. No. No.
You guys just guaranteed yourselves new ideas because you just saw all these movies that Al hasn't seen and has failed you as a co-host of the show.
I mean, he fails me weekly as well. We fail each other all the time. That's what makes us
Cloud Atlas.
No, not you. We fail you every second.
No, him for not seeing Cloud Atlas.
Oh, he finally did it.
Oh, no, but it took him for.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
dude, I saw it and we did 2 episodes on it. It was great.
Are you going to do a Joker Part 2 one as well?
Nah. Nah, there's no other opinions that need to be heard on that movie.
Wait, before we get to the spoilers stuff, did you end up unbending your pride and listening to Joker? Oh, what a dick.
Nope.
I will take this opportunity to say that I've been hearing high reviews for our episode. Friend of the show, Caleb.
Nice.
Listened to it, and he was a big fan of Gary's addition to the show.
Nice. Caleb did the artwork for it.
Well, no, not...
I'll tell you that I love movies that I hated, and I guess then I'll tell you that I didn't like movies that I liked, and then you'll just reverse psychology and getting me into the episodes I want to be on.
Well, no, all you have to do is say, hey, I listened to all your episodes and they've been really great. Can I be on the show? And then you'll be on the show.
Hey, guys, I listened to all your episodes. They're really great. Can I get onto the Star Wars one?
You're not going to be on the Star Wars one, but to be fair, no one is going to be on the Star Wars one. That's a me and Anthony thing alone.
Yeah, it's very special to us. Our first episode was a Star Wars movie, wasn't it? Okay, Breaking Bad, El Camino. El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. Is that the official title? El Camino.
I got confused because I was just looking at Solo, a Star Wars story, and Rogue One, a story. So I wrote El Camino, a Breaking Bad story, and then I realized I had it wrong. It's a Breaking Bad movie, yes.
I forgot what you had said. You had gotten me excited. I wanted to hear what you were going to say about it, that you were waiting for post-spoilers.
Oh, no. I just said my little bit of why the movie was justified was the thing that I could say pre-spoilers. No, I mean, post-spoilers, what we can say right off the bat is, first of all, the whole movie was a secret from all of us until literally after they were done shooting it, which is the most incredible coup of recent moviedom.
They borrowed some JJ's magic box.
No. They beat JJ. They knocked him out of the park because that JJ's making a movie. Everyone knew that.
Yeah, this was they're might be making a Breaking Bad movie that might release on Netflix only. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. It's out next month. What?
Well, I think that's how the story went. Was just like, oh, there's rumors that a Breaking Bad movie is coming out, or that they're going to be making a Breaking Bad movie, and then like 6 hours later, it's like official confirmation came from AMC. Oh yeah, we just wrapped shooting it like 3 days ago, and they're like, what?
Vince Gilligan was like, I'll one up your black box, no box.
Like with Abrams, it's just you don't get to know any of the details, and everyone knows it's Khan, even though he's trying to not let you know that it's Khan, and everyone knows it's the Cloverfield paradox, or 10 Cloverfield Lane was going to be a Cloverfield movie, even though he's trying to pretend that it wasn't.
Right.
But at least you don't know that some of the things are going to happen in episode 7 that happened or whatever. But we literally just didn't know. It was like the full on like Mario Puzo like Omerta with with this movie. Like, no one said a single word about this movie being made until after it was physically done being made.
Dr. House, how are you going to follow the rulebook without the...
All right, so early on in the movie, turned to Kim and referred to Badger, Skinny Pete, and Jesse's relationship is tragically adorable. I don't know what it was, but the three of them together on screen again was just so sweet. And the way that they had each other's back, I loved it. And actually, what I really love about this, and Al, you had speculated that the trailer with Skinny Pete was not going to be part of the movie. How great is that, though? Because it is part of it. It's just not in the movie. Like, it's part of what went on. Like, that's,
you know that's happening off screen, but it doesn't ever make it to screen.
It's like a mini episode, like, peek at something else that happened during this time frame. That was it's like that thing from, you remember, like, I know that technically some shows still do it now, but, like, 10 years ago, it became, like, a big thing to do webisodes where it was, like, in between, like, stitching between episodes. It was, like that's what that feels like. Yeah. Doing that as a teaser. That was the teaser, right? I can't remember. That came out before.
Well, it was the only actual trailer. Well,
no, there was one.
There was one very short trailer that I retained precisely 0% of. You remember? You texted me about it, and I was like, you know what? I watched that trailer last night. I literally don't remember one single thing.
Yeah.
And then I saw a shortened version of it on TV like a couple days later, and I was like, oh, yeah, that does look familiar.
Was it really a shortened version? Because I'm pretty sure it was only like 30 seconds.
Yeah, because this was like 10 seconds.
All right. But, yeah, their relationship is pretty great. I went on to try to get some Easter eggs listed out before the episode. One was with Skinny Pete and Badger sitting in Pete's house in his living room. It's all Star Trek decorations, which is true to his character, which is really funny. I again, like, having that, like, I read some other ones. I didn't spot any of these. I go back and look at them because I'm not looking for them when I'm watching it. I'm just kind of focused on the movie and the show itself. But I do love going back and reading, like, all the things that people have found throughout. Like, I think something like the mailbox that he hit was if you season an episode number of where what's her name dies, his love interest. I can't remember her name. Black hair.
I also can't remember.
The one where Jessica Jones died.
Yeah, Jessica Jones.
It's like season 2, episode 12, I believe.
Jane.
Starts with a J. But he's Jesse, Jessica, Jane. It's all very confusing. But like little things like that.
That was the second most surprising cameo in the whole movie, with her at the end. The first most being, I did not expect to get such a substantial amount of screen time from Todd. I'm surprised that he was on it at all.
Yeah. Other cameo, actor's name Larry Henkin. When he goes, magnets.
Oh yeah, old Joe.
Great scene. And then him running away when he realized the car was hot was really, like, that added in that what I thought would actually be completely absent from the movie was the humor, because there's a lot of humor in Breaking Bad. Yeah. And as the show goes on, it gets darker and darker until it's almost completely devoid. But they had little bits of that here and there in the movie, and it made it very entertaining.
Yeah, like when Jesse goes to Robert Forster, which this was super weird. When we were watching the movie, we got news of Robert Forster's death.
Yeah.
That was so strange.
Yeah.
Like literally 10 minutes after he first made it, what happened was he rips the page out of the phone book. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh my God, he's going to look for the vacuum guy. And he goes, who? And I said, you don't remember the vacuum guy who was like the extraction guy with the fake IDs, Robert Forster? And he goes, I don't know. And then he shows up on screen and he goes, oh yeah, no, I remember him. And like 10 minutes later, he's like, Robert Forster just died. I was like, Robert Forster, the guy we were just talking about 10 minutes ago? He's like, yeah.
You did this.
I was like, what?
Yeah,
that was one of those funny scenes where he calls him on his shit, and then the cops show up. He's like, I gotta love the response time of our boys in blue.
And also, how perfect cinematography too, where it's like you as the audience are standing like next to Robert Forster and are looking past Jesse in his like absolutely righteous anger, where he's like, no, trying to fuck me over, and you just see it slowly in the background as the cop pulls up out front.
Yeah. It was so much, because it was a great scene, but we were also getting a clip of another thing that I didn't think we were going to get, which is like cocky Jesse. like that, and like that, having all of that like wound up in that scene was pretty great. Circling back for a second, ripping a page out of a telephone book. Has any person actually ever done that, or is that just a movie thing?
I feel like that's just a movie thing.
Yeah. Where did that come from?
It reminds me of, and I was sorry, I paused for a second because I was trying to think of. I was just reading or listening to something recently where they were talking about like things that only happen in TVs and movies that real life people don't ever do, but you see in like every single movie and TV show. And it's like, how does this keep being in shows and movies? Because literally no one does that exact thing. And I can't think of what the examples were, but I was like, oh yeah, those are and that ripping the page out of the phone book is absolutely one of those things. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's not even the most offensive piece of it. The most offensive piece is that there's actually a phone booth. Like there's like, come on.
Only in Albuquerque.
Well, but it also makes sense for when that was supposed to be taking place.
Oh,
people didn't use them in 2013 either.
You're right. It was
because they still had flip phones, so like.
But I don't believe that there would have been a telephone book in there.
Well, it was surely the beginning of the end of phone booths at that point, right? But they still were around 10 years ago, and that's roughly when this was taking place.
It's such a dramatic scene, though. Just anytime it's done, and it's always the same scene: open, flip, run finger down page, rip page out of phone book, never look at page again.
Yeah, at least on screen.
Oh man, and I mean, yeah, for sure, I wouldn't memorize the number either. But also, I mean, it was the address. The address I probably would remember.
Well, no, the whole point was he ripped it out because he didn't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, and he had to go to different ones just in case.
Yeah, he kept going to all the different ones. Finally finds it.
Yeah, no, it's just there was what I liked about it though is like that's it's just a movie trope, and it's also like it's an older one. I actually haven't seen that in a while. But if you tie that in with some other scenes, like the Western standoff scene, which was awesome, great scene, intense, that is just really cool. Another random little Easter egg that I was reading a thing on before we started, and I went, ugh. It was when they're in Todd's house, when Jesse's in Todd's house, and the two cops, heavy quotes, come in and are like looking through some stuff. One of them picks up a snow globe, and if you look at it, the two people in the snow globe are Todd and Lydia is in a teacup.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
No, I didn't notice that at all.
It's very creepy. Go look at a still of it. It's terrifying, and it just gives you the heebie-jeebies, much like everything that he does in this movie. He's too much, man. He's psycho. Well,
that's why, like, I loved his re-inclusion. First of all, I mean, he's a pretty good actor, which I never would have seen coming, because the first time I ever saw him in anything was in Friday Night Lights, and I was like, oh, there's this like dweeby kid, crucifixorious, like, you know, oh, we're looking at the picture now. Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, Friday Night Lights, his like heavy metal band, Crucifixorious, like he was like murdered someone on the show or whatever. It was great. But actually felt bad about it and almost turned himself in, or no, did turn himself in actually. And then he shows up in this show. I was like, oh, that's that guy from Friday Night Lights. Oh, he's a psychopath. That's weird.
He's very good at playing psychopath.
He's a good actor. Like remember Game Night?
He was so good in Game Night.
Yeah, Game Night. Yeah.
He was so good at being Todd at Game Night. Oh, man.
And he was good in Fargo, too, where he wasn't playing a psychopath. I forgot how much of a psychopath he was until the whole conversation where he's making soup and just very calmly explaining why he had to murder his maid for basically no reason.
Yeah. You want chicken noodle or... as he's having that conversation.
It's just he slips right back into this role. Like, it didn't feel like he was, like, straining at the seams, even though his shirt was maybe straining at the seams. I actually feel bad for him. Like, that's a fat joke, and it's not well-deserved. I feel bad for him because, like, he put on a ton of weight for Fargo specifically and has never gotten rid of it.
Oh, really? It was like it was for the character?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
But the way he plays like this character, like he's just ice cold. He like is very understated most of the time. Like he's got those dead shark eyes. Like like I'm creeped out every time he like maintains what's going on. You know, because there's times where it's like, oh, you know, blah blah blah. Like and it's like the camera is like looking at Jesse in the back as he's like, and it's over Todd's shoulder as he's just making soup.
And Jesse's like wide-eyed, like, what the fuck?
And he's just like, yeah, well, it really sucks. She was really great.
Best housekeeper.
But yeah, no.
Oh my god, that was intense. What that scene when they're cleaning up and they're taking her out of the house and she's wrapped up in the rug and they throw her off the balcony. The sound of of her hitting the floor is deafening. It's
really uncomfortable. Also, completely undoes the whole point of putting her in a rug.
Yep. I made note of that when that happened. I was like, that was dumb.
I was like, oh, Dominic, they're doing the Archer thing because that's been a running joke, or it was the first few seasons of Archer.
I shall fetch a rug.
Yeah, it's always someone shows up dead. Woodhouse says, "I'll fetch a rug," and Mallory, no, there will be no rugs. I just bought that one. It's $1,000. And it was so you can smuggle a dead body out of the apartment inside of a rug. You're supposed to walk through the halls with the rug so no one thinks anything of it, not throw it off of a balcony.
Yeah, I do like how a couple things. First off, when as we're going through that scene, it starts off with like. Jesse still doesn't understand like what he's doing here. It's like he's helping him put the cover on the back of the El Camino, and it's like, okay, is that it? Is like anything else? Oh yeah, just like one more little thing I think it was that they have to do, and then painting the room, like all this. I like that the way that's done, where we get all that flashback, but it's not just flashback for the sake of flashback. It all leads to seeing the origin of where the El Camino is coming from and the character that it belongs to and like what's tied to that. Like all of that is just so interestingly done.
Yeah. And also to justify, because like if they didn't show all that, it's like, okay, yeah, like he was tortured, he's messed up. It's like, no. You don't get it.
Yeah.
This dude like should barely be functioning.
Yeah.
After what he's gone through the last year and a half. Really, and even extending beyond that, of course, but like specifically, how bad his life was in this captivity, like, it's important why he wouldn't trust anyone, why up is down, why he literally has PTSD, he's freaking out in his bedroom in the shower. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like that was a missed piece, though. They didn't do that any more than that one scene.
What do you mean?
The PTSD thing, like him being like shocked by like he was staring up, thought he like and flashing between being in the room and being locked in the cell. I feel like that was very real. And then they didn't really touch on that again. That was just one minor thing that I thought was a little bit of a miss.
You're right. He ultimately probably shrugged it off a little too quickly.
Yeah. I think that sometimes writers rely on the PTSD as a crutch too much for character development. And I think they sometimes don't quite understand it either the correct way or just portray it poorly. So maybe they did a little bit too little of it, but I think everyone would have thought a lot differently about the movie if they used that too much.
Well, they don't necessarily have to do it like start to finish, but it was
like almost like a throwaway gag.
It seems like it seems like he comes out of the shower and has literally washed himself clean of it.
But they do some of his actions and decisions. Like, I guess if you are paying attention and you understand that he's feeling this way, it adds a little bit more depth to some of his other decisions and things that he does throughout the rest of it. If you're just using that context, which is also fine. Like that's. I feel like in that situation, the writer or director wants you to kind of take a little bit of control over feeling that way. Like take this with you. Like, this is a little bit of homework as you're going through. But it could be done maybe a little bit more or like. Yeah, because
he was a man on the mission. He didn't have time to deal with all that stuff. That's something he'll have to deal with once he's in Alaska.
But he was dealing with it. To a degree, like you could see it in some of the ways that he was like there was his anxiety, his stress in certain situations, and like he would peek through. Old Jesse would peek through every once in a while, which I thought was cool. But he would like kind of recede back into like his like I am on the run, like and like go back into that, and then like the fear and anxiety of his entire situation kind of weighing on him throughout. It's there. It's just not as present as it is in that one scene. And I guess
you could argue that he literally casts it off when he stands up for himself in the vacuum shop.
Yeah. But then
up until that point he was
immediately.
Sure, but the whole point of him getting his balls back, essentially, you know what I mean? Like, where he stands up to him and is like, no.
Your balls fall off?
Yeah. It was like, like, hey, I've got my eyes open. I've seen what's going on here, and this doesn't add up. Now, he calls his bluff, obviously, but it's because up until that point, the way that he goes through the search, and it's desperation and fear more than it is, the willingness to succeed, per se. It's like, a wounded dog lashing out is how he behaves in Todd's apartment when he's looking for the money and the two fake cops come in, right? Where it's like, it's purely off instinct. There's no thought going into how he's going to do it until he decides, hey, I'm taking the money. Go ahead and shoot me, but you're not going to.
Right.
Which kind of, I guess, like, portends where it's going to go with him standing up for himself with Ed. But in this case, it felt more like, I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Whereas at that point, the desperation's pushing him to, I finally am almost at the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dominic, you had mentioned you feel this movie is, what did you say? You just said unnecessary? Was that it?
Yes, very, very unnecessary.
And are you unhappy with it?
No, I don't hate it. I can identify a few scenes that I really enjoyed, such as the Mexican standoff scene, the what's it called? Some of the scenes with Todd, the scene where he's in the vacuum cleaner shop, and the first opening scene with Mike. So I definitely could appreciate it. Again, if this was terrible, I think the conversation would all be, oh, he just wants more fame or money or attention or whatever. I definitely think at this point, nobody was asking for this. And again, it wasn't terrible. It by far wasn't terrible. I liked some of it. I would give it like a 5.5, 6 out of 10. So that's just my thoughts with that. But yeah, going into it, I was like, this movie doesn't need to be made. Just kind of seems a little soulless. And especially, a lot of these great shows live on past their prime, where Breaking Bad was not one of those. It had a very contained story, and I think one of the things we liked about it the most was that it ended when it needed to end. Mm-hmm. So then now you're thinking, 6 years later, like, come on, kind of tarnishing its legacy a little bit.
See, I didn't feel that way because of what ended up being on screen. Those were the fears I had when they announced it.
It wasn't terrible, so I don't think it completely corrupts it. And again, this movie is not terrible. It's not even necessarily bad. I just think it's a little much, and it has some of the same traits that I couldn't stand about Breaking Bad the show. It was too many scenes of just no one talking, or this. It's not even tension so much as just like, you're just sitting there like, all right, get on with it. Come on. And I think the movie did less than that than the worst shows of that in Breaking Bad. But
it was a 2-hour movie. I mean, each episode of Breaking Bad was an hour. So even if you want to object to something like The Fly, it's one episode that lasted 50 minutes.
Well, it's not just The Fly. There's many, many other scenes with that happening where just like nothing's happening, no one's talking, or one person's talking at the other one for like 2-3 minutes and nothing's happening. You're like, okay, we get it. Someone's annoyed. Someone's pissed. Just deliver the punchline already. It's like Family Guy doing a scene where they flip to Conway Twitty. We're like, okay, that was kind of funny the first time, or this was kind of funny for the first 10 seconds. Like, we get it. All right, just end the joke, move on to it.
Yeah, I think that's fine to feel that way. Like if you don't care for those types of scenes, I like those. I like those in the context of Breaking Bad as well. For the most part, I'm probably the only person that wasn't completely annoyed by The Fly.
Some people love that episode.
It's just, but I get it. I think I understand where you're coming from. I don't feel the same way. What you did though is you brought up an interesting question. I'm very curious as to why. Why did the movie come out when it came out? Like, what was the relevance? What was there a reason it came out then? Was this something that he wanted to do for a while? I'm just curious. I would like to know the history of how this decision was made.
Well, from what I understand, from what I had read around the time when it actually dropped a couple weeks ago, it sounds like they had asked him if he wants to do anything with it right after the show was done. He said, I mean, I have thoughts, but when I'm ready to tell the story, I'll tell it. And then he said recently, it coalesced into a hard and fast idea of what he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And so they made it. I mean, the turnaround on it was really short. Like,
yeah.
What did it take them 6 months to make this? You know what I mean?
I bet he was. I would be curious if, like, while making Better Call Saul, he was just kind of building it up, like, more and more, getting, like, kind of reconnecting in his mind with the characters and, like, wanting to do it. Maybe now just felt right. And if that's the case, I think that's really cool. If that's all it was, it was just like,
I think that is what it was.
That's great. And I mean, and I've always kind of felt that way about the show. Like, I believe him. I believe Vince Gilligan to be genuine in a way that I don't believe a lot of people to be, and that could be false. That could not be placed in the right spot. That's just how it comes across to me, and I appreciate it. And I'm glad the movie came out. It's nowhere near as memorable as the show, but it's not bad by any means. And I really enjoyed watching it.
All right. Well, Dominic has to go, so I guess we can continue the last few minutes of this. But
yeah,
later,
peanut gallery out.
See you later, man. Yeah. So what other notes you got?
Well, I guess we could talk about specifically Aaron Paul in this, because I mean it's kind of made him break, or you can make or break it on the back of his shoulder, because it's kind of similar to what we were talking about last week with what's his name in Joker, with Joaquin Phoenix in Joker. Like, he's on screen
in every
scene. And as Dominic was alluding to, there are sequences where no one's really saying anything. And at times, it's like, okay, yeah, you could do more here.
Right.
But at other times, I actually really liked it. For one thing, when they were doing, and it was a very classic Breaking Bad scene, like the montage of him searching Todd's apartment for the money. That was
with like multiple Aaron Pauls.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
And multiple like different camera angles, and they're doing the Scorsese like camera on the ceiling, and it's all that. Like, that was classic Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And at one point they pause, right, and it's dark, and he's just sitting, and he's just like holding his face, and you can see in the background, like, the camera pans a little bit, and you can see, like, oh, he is tearing this place up, and he still can't find it.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's nothing happening. He's just sitting there in silence, and it's just like, you feel the weight of it there, and it's like, oh yeah, no, I feel you, man. Like, that's what's going on. And I think I've lately criticized him at times for maybe he can only play that character.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
And when you see him back, character changed so much over the course of the series.
Yeah, and specifically over the course of this movie, even him coming back, and it's like, oh yeah, like, he hasn't lost his fastball on this role. You know what I mean? Because he runs the gamut from totally broken to that heightened, like, PTSD, like, paranoia, to the righteous anger when he's in the shop, you know what I mean? Like, and he delivered, like, that's a really wide spectrum, and it doesn't feel, like, jerky, like he jumped from one thing to another. Like, it all feels consistent. You can see the build-up. You can see the character having been brought to his knees, built all the way back up again.
Right. Yeah, it is awesome to watch. I do think he is tremendous in this role. I haven't seen him in much of anything else, but I do. Yeah. I love him. I love him as Jesse, and I love him as, like, and being interviewed, Aaron Paul. Like, I think he seems awesome, but I would like to see him in more things.
Well, I will say I never saw Need for Speed, and I just, let's just be honest, I never will.
Yeah, that's fine.
But he is funny in BoJack Horseman. He's playing a version of this character if you took out all of the violent, fucked up shit that happened to him.
Okay.
Where he's just like a happy-go-lucky stoner kid.
Yeah.
Like,
he is the Jesse from the scene at the buffet.
Yes. Basically. But, like, even more, like, happy-go-lucky.
Dude, when he's piling up cheese on that plate, and then he puts a little bit of salad, and then he tops it off with one tomato and goes, yeah, bitch. Like, it's so good.
No, he's like the most, like, kind-hearted, like, happy-go-lucky, like, stoner kid in BoJack.
Awesome.
And it's just like he's like always part of, like, there's always some sort of comedic relief going around him. Like, I mean, he's been part of some serious scenes too every once in a while, and like it gives it that much more weight because, like, man, to get him to snap to being, no, this is serious. It's like it takes a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the only substantial role I've seen him in, other than this, and it's just his voice in that. But he does a really good job in that.
Cool. Well, that's good to hear. I saw the Need for Speed movie at some point. It's completely forgettable. I don't remember. I don't even remember what happened. I vaguely remember parts of it, and then I go, ugh, and that's saying something.
It looked like they were kind of going for. It looked like they were kind of trying to rip off Transporter by way of Gone with 60 Seconds.
With a dusting of Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't fully remember. It was just I remember not. I wasn't like I knew what I was getting into watching it. I wasn't like offended. I knew what it was. Like if you saw it and you were like, I wasted my money. Like clearly you knew what you were going to go watch. Like, and I was fine watching.
I do wonder if this kind of clears his slate and lets him reopen his like a chance for like a second. Because I feel like that movie tanked his career.
I hope so. Unless he's just doing, and maybe he's just doing something else. He he might be.
Vitamin water commercials.
Is he doing vitamin water commercials?
I mean, like a year or two ago, like it was like he had like a couple. There was like one like big commercial. He's like on a treadmill. It's weird.
Jesse, man, but yeah, he's just so tremendous in this show and movie. I really enjoy him. The way he pulls his character off, everything. Getting those scenes with his parents, like manipulating them like one last time. But like this time, it's like, it's like almost like, it's like kind of like that addict, like kind of behavior. Like this time's the last time, like, but like this, like as the viewer, you're going on this journey with him. It's different this time because you're in his shoes.
Yeah.
And from the outside, it's no different. It's just the same. It's like he's in a
the only
mess
difference
again.
Is this time. The only difference is this time you're actually rooting for him.
Right, exactly. And that was. It's a good scene, and it's a very heartbreaking scene. Like when they go out and like the cops follow them, and then
because it too. Like we were sitting here watching it, and we're like, how many cops are going to be on the street when he shows up? And immediately you see like 6 cars peel off to follow them, and it's like, man.
And one staying behind, and he knew it. He knew it beforehand. Like he was ready for it. Like I feel like he's at a point where he was at a point where you just can't surprise him. Though that the vacuum guy did surprise him. But that as the movie was ending, as he was being driven to Alaska, and comes out of like the
secret compartment.
It's called that upward deck piece is called something. I forget what it's called. But he comes out of there. First off, how long was he in there? That had to be wildly uncomfortable. But I like the aesthetic of like he's marching towards Alaska, and it's very cold because while he's probably good now, like he's probably going to be okay. Like he's gonna live. It's gonna be some semblance of a life, but he's going to be able to live out his days. Like he's not going to be on the run anymore. He's kind of escaped. It's just like this cold. It's starting fresh, and it's cold, and he knows no one. Like there's a very cold world, and I liked that symbolism. Like as he's like, it's almost like as dark and dreary as it is, that seeing his breath is like a sigh of relief. Like I don't know. It's really well done, well shot.
Also, considering it was something we had discussed prior to this, when we were getting excited for this movie coming out, we talked about. I don't know if it makes sense for him to get redemption.
Uh-huh.
And I like how they nipped that right in the bud in the very first scene with Mike saying, no. Yeah. You don't get to wipe your slate clean. Yeah. Like, it is what it is. You just try and be the best you can be going forward.
Right. That was great. That was, you were probably, when the movie started off, you're like, man, it's like they're listening.
Yes.
And you're like, thanks, Mike. That was one of the most heartbreaking deaths. Loved Mike.
Yeah, I mean, like, he was a piece of shit, though.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, like, retroactively, you feel bad for him having watched Better Call Saul.
Sure.
Because you see how he broke bad, too.
Yeah.
But just with what you'd seen on screen with him during the run in Breaking Bad, I felt bad for his granddaughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't feel bad for him.
He's such a great character, though.
Oh, sure. Really I was upset that I wouldn't get to see him on screen more, for sure.
Yeah. Hank is another one that was tough.
No, that one was legitimately him and Gomez, for that matter.
Yep.
These guys,
the fully innocent,
have been the closest we can find to actual good guys in the show. I mean, Hank really never did anything bad. I mean, there was times where he may have been irritating, but he was never bad. He was always the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, those guys didn't deserve that.
No. That scene's intense, too, when he's like, you're so stupid to think that there's any other thing that's going to happen right now.
This can happen only one way, so you might as well just get it over with.
Yeah. As it's happening, as the viewer, you know it too, but you want to plead because you're with Walt. You're like want to plead too, but you know what's happening. And when he says it, and it just sucks all of the hope away, and now you just have to wait. Like it's just like it's heart wrenching. Yeah, definitely worth. If you're a Breaking Bad fan, this is definitely worth your time.
The only thing I would say left with this was this had the chance, considering the existence of this movie basically is fan service. And I guess technically you can say that this really isn't necessarily a cash grab because, like, it didn't have a theatrical release.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But this is fan service at its most obvious, the existence of this movie. But if you're going to do that, they could have been so gratuitous, and it really never was.
Yeah.
Like, all the cameos and the reprisals fit in to the framework of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And they're marrying the fan service with the service of the plot and character and themes that are going on. Like, the only one who came even close to just pure fan service was Jane showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought the Walter White one made sense.
Yeah.
And they didn't let it overstay its welcome. It made sense at the end of the story to go back to the beginning.
Yep.
And to show how they have truly changed in this time from that snapshot in time.
The only thing I'll say that I think is important with the Jane thing is like that is a pivotal point for the character, and he changes from that point on when she dies.
Yeah,
and
it's just like we've seen him change multiple times.
Yeah, I think they were just like surfacing the relevance of her to him and how that's been in his head, on his mind, probably one of the things that he's been thinking about day in and day out since then, and just letting you know, like letting you in on it. I feel like was kind of an interesting way to do it. I liked that.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
No, I think that's it for me.
Well, that's all for this week's episode of Flix in the Six. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have a movie for us to review or nuggets for us to discuss, you can send those requests to flixinthe6@spintune.com or tweet us at @thespintune. Tune in next week for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, I'm Anthony Costanzo.
And I'm Al Bielsi.
Thanks for coming out.